game, man.
It's
You
global.
pick up your phone and then you play it.
And right after that, obviously, they also just want to give you a better tomorrow. So BPI obviously empowers female gamers as well with next level banking solutions to help you level up in life, either by digital deposit accounts, insurance, investments, loans, and others.
Yeah, you can start saving up for a better tomorrow. Just open up a hashtag save up account today via the BPI app. One ID, 5 minutes, and you already have an account. You have an even more epic tomorrow with BPI.
Don't forget to ask your local teller.
Mà win,
Yeah,
win.
let's go.
Let's go,
Of
let's go,
course,
let's
for
go.
everyone else that
Let's go,
plays
let's go,
ML,
let's
we
go,
have
let's
extra
go.
news for you. We also have the Vibe app, where you can actually pay bills,
Let's go.
send funds, and you also claim rewards.
Let's go,
All
let's
that
go.
on the Vibe app.
Yeah, but wait, you also have an epic bonus. If you sign up, you also have a chance to win 1,250 MLBB diamonds.
And of course, that's diamonds for flexing your skins and all of that. Upgrade that. Go to World Collector using
Go
Vibe app.
World
Download
Collector.
it now and go for a more epic tomorrow with BPI.
Oh man, I'm excited for the draft 2 breakdown already because again, how Coach RC and Team Liquid Philippines have adjusted with the struggles that they've had in the drafts, all playoffs long, but then now with 2 games in a row of just being able to find at least one weakness point, worked out so well for them.
I wonder who can get this post though. Again, you have to keep your eyes closed. Why is his eye? Oh my goodness!
Perfect, perfect. Give it to the child.
Just
give it.
Let's not prolong this.
Just give us the assignment. They're getting the assignment to them. No.
It's gonna be so hard to beat that. No,
Yeah,
sorry.
He wins it.
He wins it.
It's mini Sanji right there.
So perfect. He even looks a little bit like, oh my god.
No.
That's insane. Give it to the guy. That's a winner of the smart power post. Again, you can win a redeemable in-game code. And every single photo of Sanji has his eyes closed.
Yeah.
Is that a sign that he's just gonna play Farsa all day?
Again, he's the eyes closed, cold-blooded killer. That's who he is.
That's who he is. Play anytime, anywhere with Smart's Power All 99.
Tak nie ma krakoja line mo.
Plus your choice of on the Facebook, Messenger, and
Complete
Instagram.
line
Or
mo.
you also can pick on the TikTok. Plus on the calls and texts.
Bro.
All networks in the Philippines.
That's right. More data, more GG. Just still 99 pesos for 7 days. So come on, load now. And you can also watch our streams.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Pick up a nice data promo plan with Smart.
Hey. And do you need pro level speed though, since you really want a really fast internet with your Smart Switch and stay ahead of the game?
You can get your Smart eSIM today for only 99 pesos and experience ultra-fast 5G connectivity on any device. No SIM swapping needed.
Available now at Smart stores nationwide
Sure.
or online by the Smart Online Store.
Yeah, very useful for when you're traveling if you have an eSIM on you because you can just get a local SIM when you go abroad. Or if you're someone like me and you got your phone stolen, if I do get my phone stolen next time again, knock on wood, I guess. At least I don't have to worry about my SIM because as an eSIM I can easily just deactivate. So eSIMs are so worth it.
That's right. And you don't have to get a little stick and open your SIM tray. You just register it.
Yeah, those are incredibly annoying. I think
are so good.
yeah, we gotta come up with a better way, except for those little SIM tray tools.
SIM tray ejectors.
I'm done with that.
That's why we go eSIM now, like
Yeah,
for everything. So
exactly.
right now, enjoy it with Smart. We're gonna go into the draft for game number 3, and just an update: we are 0 so far.
Game number 3.
RC's in the back. Someone's got to smell it because Falcons. What's it gonna be? How are they gonna come back into this one? We're gonna call back Brigida, the leader of the Brigadudes, to help us out.
Okay, shoutouts, and now I'm forced to shout out all the Brigadudes, and hello Renmar, Rockhard. We're heading into this game after I'm not pretty sure if I'm still over what happened earlier, and immediately the backshot first pick for Team Falcons, but at least it's limited now to 2 rows.
All right, and TLPH, very fast drafting, just goes to show how well these two teams are prepared for each other, know each other. Juicing Granger, great first picks. Falcons go for the Hayabusa Farsa, great response as well. Very even in the draft right now. Still both very good moves.
The classic Trevor Blitz draft, by the way, just going in ham with the first 3, just like it's no one's business. Although the Zuchin is a pretty good kickoff from TLPH. Obviously, Oheb still gonna have that muscle memory as well on that Granger. I always love it when teams, like players, just stick to previous ones. And especially if it did win, that last game was super micro intensive.
Yeah.
And he was able to actually do a lot with that.
Yep. And Team Liquid Philippines, they're actually that team who, okay, they pick up the Badam because I wasn't really thinking that they would consider it since they mostly saved pretty much some of the surprises for JP.
Yeah.
តែសួស្តីមកក្រោយៗ
that
ឡើយ
this
សេន
game has happened, but now they're considering the flex factor too, and yeah, it's still pretty even now for both of these teams so far.
Yeah, honestly, the draft. Okay, again, it pains me as a Falcons guy, but I'm leaning towards Team Liquid again because so far the Falcons picks have been, other than the Baksha, reactive. The Baksha as the first pick, a very proactive choice. The Farsa and the Hayabusa was a reaction to the Juicin and the Granger. The Badang is a proactive choice against what Falcons have brought to the table. The first two picks of Liquid, the Granger and Juicin, proactive choices as well. They knew the Farsa would be open, they knew the Hayabusa would be open, but they still willingly picked the Juicin and Granger first.
Again, you might be thinking, you know what, it's fine as long as they don't have that Yi, as long as they don't have that
Yeah.
shit. That's what's Falcons thinking.
I guess for Team Liquid Philippines though, they still can't consider the Lucas. It's still an option if ever Carl TV wants to go that route, especially as they banned out the lane already here for Team Falcons. Unless they're giving us the Lancelot in this game.
Yeah,
Hey.
come on.
I'm
give
zero
us
at
a-
Lancelot
give us a
then.
Lance, Carl Lance game, please. But Falcons has to ban either the Gacha, Lucas.
Yeah.
Maybe they're willing to play against the Lancelot, maybe, but there's a lot of major picks
តែសួស្តីមកក្រោយៗឡើយសេនណាមួយនេះ
first.
ជួយ share មួយមក
So far, it does feel like the Lancelot might be a possible last pick, either way. So we're still looking for a possible XP laner as well for TLPH. Lucas is still available.
Oh.
And that would be a pretty nasty combo, possibly on the docket here for Falcons if they want to ban it out.
Yeah, and they ban out the Phobius too. So would that tell anything about Team Liquid Philippines and their possible options later on? But again, Team Falcons, what are they more willing to play against? Is it the additional layer of CC that the Gambit Capture can offer? Especially it'll make things harder for few.
Yeah.
Or is it the Lucas that'll just make this mid-range lineup so far of Team Liquid Philippines a lot more better, and it seems like they'll be more willing to let go of the Gambit Capture.
Okay.
let's face
That's
a
got
high
maybe,
contact
potentially the pick right now for Team Liquid Philippines.
ឈីម liquid level P
I'm leaning towards
Johet.
Oh, even better.
Cho mày.
This is in the back of my head, but I didn't
Team Liquid នេះសម្បូររបស់លេងហ្មង
pick off style. But they're okay with it. This empowers the Granger and the Badang really well, and I think that means we're getting an assassin for Carl.
Yeah, for sure. And imagine how difficult
Okay,
it is
Falcon
to move
tầm năng mà
this lineup
man
of Team Liquid Philippines so far. There's the Jawhead Badang, there's the Jushin,
Yeah.
who's kind of like a tankier mage.
And you can imagine the alley-oop that's going to happen here
Yeah.
with Sushi and the joint.
This needs to be a glue and a
I
Moskov,
am
maybe?
Vincent Sin Conley
There's a Moskov.
ចាប់បាត់ហើយបើ Falcon
Yeah, I usually used to get the glue here.
Something that's going to survive.
Kịch chặt đá
here,
nhé.
get caught out.
Địch-
There it
ai
is,
lên.
right on the arrangement as well.
Yeah.
So is it gonna
Mẹ
be
làm sao
just
tới ai
like
lên
Come
đấy
on. What? No. Oh. I hate you, Sasuke.
You and the rest of the world.
Come on, man.
I mean, this was the common duo, right? The Suyo Jawhead.
come on
Yeah, Brigida, I appreciate you being the voice of reason so much. I will be the voice of, I wish we got Lance Carl.
I wish everyone does, right?
Yeah, but yes, Suyo, Jawhead together.
Tích buồn sồn.
Team Liquid going a little bit more standard here. Although the Jawhead
Buồn
is a
sồn mà
little bit of a
bạn.
swerve of surprise,
Ý kia.
but Liquid Stampede can definitely come online here.
Yeah.
While Falcons
let's
not
go
more counter punching. They might not be able to fight well up until past the 8th minute.
It's like regular season vibes for me for TLPH. Even
Oh, yes.
the picks are very regular season, and they're going what they know here. Really.
Yep. This is a comfort for JP, by the way, in case y'all forgot. So let's see how they set the tempo later on.
Let's see how they play with comfort here in the Landon for game number 3 of Falcons.
welcome
and
to
TLPH.
Mobile Legend
Comfort is out of the question. You gotta do what you gotta do to get into the game, and Falcons have yet to score. Welcome to game number 3. one win away from match point. The cavalry sits. My name is Leo, here with Ingan and Brigida. You heard her dulcet tones during the draft. Ingan, how do you feel about this? Were you also looking for that Lancelot?
I was looking, of course.
ជួខ្ញុំរត់ទៅអត់ឈាមទេគេផោកអស់ពាក់កណ្ដាលទៀតទេ
If Suyo was a better pick for them, then why not? And I do agree actually with Renmar in terms of their picks in the draft.
អារម្មណ៍ថាដូចទៅលុតធ្លាក់ដល់ធ្លាក់
reactive, and this could also translate in their
Zup.
gameplay, especially
Boom.
TLPH is on the driver's seat.
A lot of pressure here on the Filipino sniper down bottom.
គេដេញអត់ឲ្យយកសត្វទៀត
His behind. Brigida,
ចុះចូលយក
Suyo.
អត់ចូលយកខាតមួយបាទ
Instead of the Lancelot, I'm gonna drill down on that. How do you feel about it going into the
ស៊ូយូវាយវាយនេះបាទ
It's the first time we're seeing Carl
Vài cái lô này.
Suyo again
Lô.
after quite
Mui,
some
mui.
time, and honestly, it feels like one of the more comfortable picks for Carl TZ, especially considering the hero pool that he's been showing us recently. But I'm a bit concerned about how he's gonna position himself.
សត្វសត្វរៀងខ្លួនអត់អី
in front of a Bakta and
មិនហ្នឹងបើស៊ូយូមកវាយបានសត្វបាត់ឡើយចង់ទៅបូកលូបូកអត់ដាច់បូកដាច់ខាតពេលហើយ
then they'll probably have to rely on someone else, and then
ផាខុនអត់តារ៉ាលេងអត់ដឹងដែរគិតថាចឹង
I
ដែរ
hate how it's not even reaching the part that's the problem. It's going through the possible bodyguards. Here he is, looking for a target in Marco. Understands that it's not quite the best target to go for just yet. The backup hasn't followed through. First turtle spawning in the upper quarter, and it looks like Falcons is there first.
You know, prior to the matchup,
ផាខុនអាចនឹងអស់តារ៉ាលេង
the last
ព្រោះ
series, Suyo
មកទៅធីម liquid អត់តន់អស់តារ៉ាទេធីម liquid នៅពេញ
So let's see if alongside King Kong, Carl TZ can turn the tides for this hero.
All right, turtle started up by JP and Carl DZ. Ogwin checking range. JP going man-to-man defense. 1/4, 1/5.
Let's see if Kyle TZ will be able to reach it, as Carl will still secure the turtle. But there's the clap
Sharp.
from Falcons, gonna bring down Carl TZ. They went in.
Nice.
Kyle TZ goes in with a weak shadow kill to bring down JP.
Yep, great decision from Team Falcons. They decided to go in for the fight,
Lại
and
khá
knowing
mua
that
được
there
ta.
can be additional damage from Super Marco since the SOD didn't connect. They willingly took that fight despite everything that we mentioned.
Mà nếu mà
regarding
slow
the
thì
grab,
đột nhiên
despite
tí.
the timings. So this is a clear advantage that Team Falcons has already acquired.
Big win for the big birds.
ដល់មក slow ឯង
Get more with BPI. 1250 diamonds on the line in case you register, you join Vibe. There's a chance to take home some goodies in case you haven't gotten the skins just yet. Oh, good check in range. That's a feathered airstrike by few. And again, these are the ugly problems that TLPH have to face. It's going through these frontliners.
You know, similar to what Team Falcons pulled off in game number 2, especially towards the early to the mid game, is the pressure on the mid lane. Again, they don't want Sanji to be as comfortable as possible to eventually scale up with the Zushin, because eventually if Zushin left unchecked, it could spell disaster for Team Falcons.
Yeah, and Ogwen's doing a great job in checking everyone.
Whoa.
Oh, spear of destruction also connects on to Carl
Spear
TZ as they
destruction.
bring him down.
Ah, team mà.
Might be JP here. Kyle TZ racking up a lot of kills so far early game.
That's double dead. Carl DZ, even if he could have gotten away, had 2 major cores on him.
It's the beauty of the early game burst damage too that we're seeing so far from Team Falcons. Team Liquid Philippines, it feels like they have to
ចំ
build
តិច
up on
ទៅមកវាយបងវិញហ៎
they have to chase after what Team
ហ្គេមនេះអាច
Falcons
មានអីលេងហ៎ Falcon មានអីលេងមួយ
This is a Hayabusa.
មកពីហ្គេមមុនអត់មានអីលេងមួយគេទេ
4 minutes into the game, so you know that they're just gonna be very confident in terms of taking the fights.
You're worried about Kyle. I'm worried about Super Marco. He's making
Chỉ
moves
co
with
mà.
an arrow.
Tim
He's
rồi, tim rồi.
left down bottom.
Lập.
He can join fights anytime.
Này,
Goes in
Sơn
with a
Phò
beautiful combo there to
đạch
stun
pha
out.
xa vào đó
Q is gonna fall down, feeds a kill off to Sanchi, but Flap TZ enters the picture as well.
Ui.
Carl TZ got dropped there by Kyle TZ. Wiki Shadow Kill still continuing on. JP caught.
Grand
Fight
chứ.
there.
Bua.
Trying to save it, and that's
Trời.
Super
Bị
Marco
chênh.
lacks the damage, but that was more than enough pressure to apply on TLPH.
Odd placement by Marco here, forcing
Trời,
Sanji.
flick đánh váy.
Go ahead, flicker forward, catches him with a
ngọt
choke.
mà cờ bựa
Super Marco getting choked down, was able to
Từng.
dash out, but Lantern Flare caught him as Kyle
Như này
TZ
thiệt.
gets the turtle.
In exchange for the
Ừ,
turtle
Sanchi
and
ang lõ
potentially the
mà.
purple buff, they're still gonna go
Team
for it, but
Liquid
JP
no
stays
trans
it
ran.
long enough. We saw the Sansan duo in
Tốt nó
action
CC.
earlier, going for
Một
that
toàn tranh
pickoff, but what they failed into
Tốt CC nó lấy
into
lột rồi
account were the other members of Team Liquid Philippines left behind. Things aren't looking too good for Carl TZ now on a 0-3.
We did mention how difficult it might be for a Suyo to do
Tao nghĩ
much
không lấy cho lên xem nó cái gì
I didn't expect them to go 0-3, 5 minutes in. Looking at the items.
cái tổ CC này cái lên CC tròn chơi cái cho pin này cái tổ cái lỗ chuột
There's so much that has to be done for them to come back in this game, especially with how Flapteasy is just able to make his presence be felt.
Kyle TC can enters and catches Oheb. It wasn't enough for TLPH to share the damage. Immediately got bursted down.
How would you respond to that? It came from out of nowhere. It didn't look like a real fight was going to break out. They just really wanted Oheb.
And it feels like they've completely shut down whatever threat this pickoff-centric lineup, or at least in the early game, could deliver. JB is struggling to find the targets, and who can he rely on for the damage if they're this much behind?
I'll do you one better. 6 minutes elapsed, not a single ejector that led to a good play.
Yeah, not even a defensive one. You might say you've been saying this all season for
Sanford cái bộ quay bên đấy
Sanford spots out Kyle TC even
tí
once again. The fist
Vậy.
bump was there.
mấy nó bọc chu mà muốn thích cái vay với Sanford
To take down the turret down bottom.
Okay.
Wait, there's one.
Here's the ejector, but is that the right target? Oak went quite attacky. Now Kyle TC jumps in once again.
ngọc ô hai ba
They're
đi
able to burst out the MVP again.
Kha game mới thích chưa
bắt đấy
Kha cái bộ Kha vào đây bùm chụp rồi Super Marco cũng cho ba AT lụp lụp lụp
It's gone sideways for the cavalry as Falcons continue to bear down.
vậy vậy nha
Super Marco never misses. What is
mô
that,
mai
100%
pi game
of the
này
SLB right now?
Man, if you're gonna count yesterday's series, that's still 100% from Super Marco with his Moscow 3-1-2 start.
Yep, Team Liquid Philippines, they're clearly struggling in
Go
terms of
grab
how
cho
they're able to layer
bạn
their
bang vào đây.
skills, in terms of how they're able to carry out a sequence that's favorable for them. Whether it be on Sanford trying to anticipate Kyle TZ earlier in that lower
Thomas mal vào đây nè
they were unsuccessful in doing so, and now here's another team fight.
Here's a spread from Black TZ.
À.
In.
chỗ luôn
Wait a minute, he's gonna enter again. SOD is gonna connect the first man down here. Still no one as JP falls down. Carl TZ might be next, one more hit away, but TLPH trying to counter out as he bring down Ogwin Sachi.
thôi mà Sanchi đi men này
But Super Marco with Spear of Misery.
ngọc Sanchi mùi vai Sanchi đang mùi mà
Flap TZ enters the picture again. Sachi got caught.
tiếng ngọc Sanchi
Flap TZ might be able to bring him down, and 2 members down for Liquid.
chỉ có mà khỏi máu
40.
tim mà khỏi mà
Flap on him. Can they
Cho mình
continue?
Đùm.
Flap TZ still
Cái
holding
jump
on
stand
to
rồi.
Sanford,
Ở đây.
and now he latches off, and the clash will end here.
To think that we saw probably one of the cleanest games from Team Liquid Philippines earlier. Now it feels like Falcons, it wasn't too
à
of them after
màu
all.
thì ngay ở mình
JP with the unstoppable
nó bói
force.
cái chỉ cọt co bên bước
To the rescue.
Now Ogwin with a stun. Sanford,
AT
beautiful combo.
ủa chị tôi toán này
There though, Uigi Shadow
đi ngọt
was
vậy
blasted right on time to
nice
bounce
one
with the SOD.
ngọt chày phi
The
đấy
damage onto JP. JP has to back off. OF desperately
Sanchi
trying to
này
get
nói
the
chơi mà
but the damage is still not there for TLPH.
And still Marco never misses. Maybe we should start calling him the Philip. What were you
mà
gonna
có
say?
nó cúp AT của man toán khó này
14. I kept saying
You kept saying that
cúp
you
AT
don't
của
want
man
the
có toán không mua nữa
to be, you know, at the ending of
AT tôi nói vậy
because it's going to be hard for them
or to be on the defense.
on the defense.
And
Yeah.
that's exactly where Liquid is. Despite it being just 8,000 gold, you bring it up. Can Liquid come back from this way? What's that angle looking like?
It's gonna be hard since you have to pay attention to so many heroes of Team Falcons right now. Kyle TZ, Few, and Super Marco, they're all online. And it's very unlikely that we'll see at least one of them separated long enough that Team Liquid Philippines could take advantage of that. They're just too fast in terms of the responses. And just when we thought it was just pure reactions being forced out of Team
Sanford
Falcons,
Sanford Super Marco từ Orlando còn
Not to mention you have 2 tanky frontliners also.
free the thread
Alongside
free thread
Team
mùi bên
Falcons who have yet to die. Here comes
cúp AT cho bánh má Super Marco
that can turn the tides around, but Team Falcons still being
trời
able
nó
to
AT
push out the
bua
damage.
trời này có bắt kho này bua ngọt
4 down.
rồi
Not a single clap back from Liquid. Ballooning up to 5,000
à
gold plus a
game
more.
cry Super Marco nó khi nên kia ao lên
And I'm
gì
not so sure about that
Phải
call.
con lụa
Taking
game
on
hay.
Flap TZ, knowing fully well that the other members of team
មានលក់
Falcons
game
are
ណា
just
ពុំ
within
វាយ
the area and that
បុក
they won't have
បុក
enough burst
フ្លិក
damage just yet.
フ្លិក
Close call for Olaf
អូ
as
លេフ្លិក
well.
អីស្មើ flick វាយ
Aside the fact that Super Marco also came in,
Flick
he
ប
was
ត
just
ក់
free
ងាប់
to
ហើយ
throw out the better
មក
air
ភឹង
strike.
ងាប់ហើយ
And now Team Liquid Philippines are clearly on the defense.
Right now, you don't want TOPH to be on the defense. So far, they're having a hard time initiating anything against Team Falcon.
Bot
Even
flat
Team
không
Falcon
bắt.
jumps in once again. A Wiki shadow kill from
Chui
the
គ្នា
back.
វើជួយគ្នា
Airstrike from View. All the while, Super Marco
គេយកតែ threat
just working on the
ងាប់
turret.
ឆេភី
Delivering
ប្រាយ
Gonna bring down JP. One
Boop.
member down. Oh, it's still quite tacky as TOPH takes care of the Lord.
ចំណេញចំណេញ
See
ចំណេ
the
ញចំណេញ
damage coming from
ប៉ុណ្ណឹ
Super
ងក៏ចំណេញ
Marco.
ដែរ
And now that we're about to look at his items, this pretty much explains why he's almost 2k ahead of Oheb.
ទីកងវិញ
Jump in from
Trot.
Flatteezy. Sanford got caught there. SOD casted right on time as Team Falcons focuses on the top lane.
Whether it be from lane to lane, whether it be across the map or literally point blank right in front of you, Mark.
ចោ head នេះយកមកយកឲ្យ
And they're
Flat TC
continuing to
ជន់តា
apply pressure. Top lane
ងាប់
of the
Sanji
game.
free.
My goodness, Kyle
ជន់ក
Tasty
JP មួយទៀតមើល
went after Sanji once
អូ
again.
ឌីមិចកប់ហើយខាល
Two members down for TOPH.
ឌីមិចមកកណោ
Team Falcons also gets the inhibitor up top.
The bloodthirsty blade just does not let up. They're approaching 10k.
Yeah, it's already an 8.1k gold lead, and Few just got his
7k
hands
ហើយ
on
1k
that
gold
divide blade. So imagine
Oh!
taking away.
Oh, a throw onto Super Marco.
Super
They
Marco
catch him.
វានៅឈើជួយ aim snipe ណា
Stays alive.
ដៃដៃ
The bulletproof steel
ដាច់ JP មួយអឺលោមកគុកអាតា
Now JP.
ចោល
Sanford is gone as well.
បំបំ
Baptiste working on Oheb, and they take
Gab
down
buồn.
Baptiste. A double for Marco.
He
តាពី
missed,
មួយ
but he never misses. A forward flicker to take down the young
ពី
goat.
មួយពីមួយពី
The
មួយ
folks, he did not rock.
Hey, bot, bot
Purify.
card.
He survived that engagement with a flicker.
អត់ចូលទេយក thread mid នឹងមួយមក
Had the wind of nature too, so he was able to survive the damage from
ជាប់ Sanji មួយ
There's
Ah.
the engage. Kyle Tasty again jumps in.
ដកមកហើយដកមកហើយ
Take down inhibitor in
ដកមកដកមក
But
ជួលោឈៀមជួលោឈៀម
will be able to clear out the
មួយ
mid
មួយមួយមួយ
lane.
មួយមួយមួយមួយ
An open field for the Stallions to think about what went
យក
wrong.
ឡតមកជាត្រាយសុក
They
សាន
never said, at this point in the game, Liquid does not want to be on the back foot. They don't want to be in the defense. I'll tell you now, at minute 1, they didn't want that. The game started. As soon as they began the draft, they did not want that. As soon as they locked in that jaw hit.
It's hard. I mean, you saw
បាយគេដូចវិតានីហ្មង
his ejectors are defensive, are reactive, and in the rare cases that he wants to be proactive, it's Flapteezy or Owen that he manages to throw.
Conceal play already committed by Team Liquid Philippines, but there's an answer from Team Falcons.
Here comes Owen with shield unity, keeping TOPH at bay because there's a major objective up for grabs. Lord is up.
ចាំបោះ JP ចាំបោះ
Now
ទៅ
that they've already used up the conceal, they'll have to find other ways to go around this, but it's gonna be very
Free load.
difficult, especially for Carl Teasy.
បូកឡតលឿនៗមក
He's still pretty much
Keep talking
behind,
about it.
although they already might want to take this on.
Owen from the back and they land
ដាច់
on
JP មួយបាត់ហើយ
Coming in from
ឡតនេះគេចូលមក
Flapteezy, member down. Team Falcons, do they go for the extra engage? Few chasing after the members of TOPH. Can
Neo.
they the airstrike?
True, true.
Marco! With
Thôi
the
mà mà
SOD
sao-
again as Kyle Teasy
À, lại Super Marco
the
bạn.
Lord, but he shut him
Chỉ có
down.
team mà gọi mà.
Is this enough time,
The
Lord,
minions.
Team mà
for
gọi, team mà gọi.
TOPH? 'Cause their base, there are minions for Team Falcons, and TOPH will clear it out.
A slight miscalculation by Falcons. They thought they could go, but another chance at ending the game here. Oh, Sanford and Kyle Teasy. Kyle Teasy single-handedly pushing them out. Liquid lives another day.
Yeah, but JP's so heavily punished in this game. He can barely look for a setup for Team Liquid. There's almost no one within reach that he could
Pretty
toss
clear.
towards the members of Team Liquid Philippines. Fortunately, they're able to buy enough time. We're already approaching 15 minutes. So Oheb definitely, probably at least is lacking just one more item.
ចៃ
The trade
បានឡតហើយ free clear ដែរ
Super Marco bought enough time
Lôi
for
sọt.
Team Liquid Philippines to take care of the Lord in the middle lane without any pressure for the side of Team Falcons. But it was all part of the plan of Team Falcons to go for a sacrificial play, secure the Lord. But fortunately for the cavalry, they were able to get not just one but two bodies of Team Falcons.
And a majority of that is held in weight by Marco. You take out
Conceal
Marco,
thôi.
you have half the problem solved. In comes
Right.
Edwin. Kyle Teasy coming in, shadow kill.
Also Wiki shadow kill.
บอกนี่ไง
Be able
ไปเฉ
to
ย
keep TOPH at bay, but the clear of TOPH is just too much. Oh, and being able to dish out the damage, and you can clearly see TOPH slowly scaling up.
What was that? Kyle Teasy, we've seen him do this multiple times in this game, but that was the first time we saw it lead to really nothing.
They were prepared against the threat of an ejector.
គូវាយ
At the same time, Sanford being
គូនឹងវាយស្មារតីគ្នាព្រោះគូធំដូចគ្នានេះ
the
គូធំ
combo from the Badang can turn the tides for them.
ស
For
ក្រុម
sure,
សក្រុម
Owen
ធំធំ
knows that because he's been doing that with the Badang.
But
Cầm
it's
sẽ
gonna
cầm
be tricky
cầm
though.
púa lên.
Team Falcons,
Púa
Flap
lôi.
and Owen have already picked up their immortalities 15 minutes into this game. So they were already winning pretty much most of the fights that were taking place. But now they can afford to go a little more aggressive since they already have those items within their builds. But they also have to consider that, yes, Team Liquid Philippines, they are gradually scaling, and there will be definitely some opportunities for them, considering that the lead is slowly shrinking, now down to 5k in favor of Team Falcons.
Falcons is still in control, that much we know. The map is blue. Liquid, the amount of space they can play with, very limited. I'm wondering,
YouTube them slow.
who is building anti-heal? Where is it right now? Because Flap, number 1 on top of the charts in damage taken, and he's died a record 0 times. I think they have to deal with him first, and then maybe we can talk. Maybe we can find a comeback angle.
Yeah, but it does seem like Sanji is the one who tries to go for either View or Super Marco. He puts himself out there.
สู้ยูฟูลไอท
Actually tries to disrupt so much of the backlines, and that's a huge responsibility if you're Sanji. You want to do so many things
ำ
at
ស្អែកក្រុមណាប៉ះគ្នានេះពីរក្រុមហ្នឹងមួយណាឈ្នះឡើងទៅប៉ះអូននេះគ្នា
Weight on the shoulders of the
Lang pẹ-
lone
lang pẹ-
stallions.
phải nộp, phải
Sometimes
cột.
it always comes down to him to do
Yes.
the job. In game 2, he
ពីរក្រុម
did
ហ្នឹង
just
គេ
that.
ឈ្នះឥឡូវ
Marco
ធីម
alone,
Liquid
but now
នាំមុខ2
he
ហើយ
needs help. Oheb and Carl
ប្រកាស
Teasy,
2 game
not a
នេះ
single see Halbert between
តែខ្ញុំ
them.
មានអារម្មណ៍ថាខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យ Falcon ឡើងតែមើលទៅដូច Liquid ដូចតំណងជាង Liquid លេងត្រូវយល់ចិត្តជាង
On the proper targets.
Oh,
It's been a disaster for Team Falcons.
តែបើមកកមួយគេបូកបាត់ឡើយ
We saw in game number 2, Sanji was able to solo kill Super Marco that set the tone for the game. Could they do it here again?
All right.
គាត់
Three
កមើល
of Liquid moving up, but concealed by JP. They walk
Shoot.
into him.
Few go
Whoa.
for the feathered airstrike and they burst out Sanford immediately.
Right.
Easy corner,
Kyle
they
low
have to
tier mà đây.
back off. They set their eyes onto JP. He still has his immortality as TLPH
Marco.
has to back off.
Was that an ambush or an unfortunate encounter?
It was something similar to what happened with Sanji and Marco in game number 1. He just waited for the curse of Crow and bursted everyone right in front of him. And
Free lob
Team
rồi.
Liquid Philippines definitely had to
Đặt
go
sàn
back
for rồi.
because they had
Mỹ Tiệt.
to take into account Super Marco and the potential
Nực
split.
nhầm
So with
ọt bóng
an
nứt,
exposed
nứt,
base,
nứt.
this is going to be a difficult defense.
That's painful. Now Liquid knows how
Nực
it
choi
feels
mà.
for them to walk into a random bush and get blasted.
They did it in game number 2, and now Team Falcons again with the clapback. Lord is on their side. 5k gold lead. TLPH has
5k
members to
gold lead
defend.
ឯលីបគេតាំងពី8 9k ឥឡូវធ្លាក់ដល់សល់ 5k
Amazing synchronization by Falcons. 3 waves coming through.
បូក JP ហ្នឹងមក
There's the ultimate that we can
Hey,
shout
JP.
out. Feathered airstrike
បោះគេបោះ Owen ចុះក្នុងបាត់
But there's the revitalize
Boop.
coming in from the master. Flap teasing
What?
flashes onto
ផ្ទះយកមកអឺ
Super Marco jumps
បាច់ផ្ទះយកមក
in, on the
ដាច់ទេ
Team Falcons. Finally a win.
ពី1ណាប្រទេ
In the
ហ្គេម
clutch.
នេះតតល់គ្នាបានហើយ
You can't expect a sweep. Not like this. Falcons on the board. 2-1.
They've
Oh,
learned too
Anya.
much from what happened in the past 3 days of the playoffs. They definitely cannot end it.
No.
Let it end like this.
And they were dominant. Falcons, amazing work. Let's start the red
នោះអីខ្ញុំថាខ្ញុំយក Liquid តានេះทีม Falcon តាប៉ុន្តែ comeback វិញហើយ
There you go. So that was a bit of a
Hey.
reenacting Super Marco.
Yeah.
Going ham
Yeah.
in that one, and the
Slow.
Falcons are on.
hello slow មិនប្រទេ
Okay, there was another reason as to why I was flipping out over Sasuke showing up instead of the Lancelot. There's magic damage on the side of Falcons. Farsa in the mid.
ហើយ YouTube ខ្ញុំ
You
slow
have
ហ្នឹង
Baksha in the road, and then the
Lie on
two
mấy edit
in
ấy
the
hả
lane.
bạn?
The main adjustment to Suyo was his removal
Đang thử mấy
of
bữa-
magic defense with his immortal form. And going up against a line
យើង
that has a
រ
Farsa
អី
and
ស្អី
Baksha on the
យក
other
ធម្មតា
side.
បាទ
It's
ហ្នឹង
tough for Suyo to shine, hence why you saw Falcons take control of the game early on. Kyle TZ went crazy on the Hayabusa. Carl TZ went up against the monster that he made by winning a world
Carl TZ
championship.
game
Kyle TZ 9-1 and 9. He was the guy
Karim
in
mà
this
ngay
game number 3.
That's right. This
Sava
was the
chân con
monster
chọn ban này
that was
này
out
này
of
vậy
Kyle
trâu
TZ Blade.
Yeah.
And we are seeing him
vậy
in
trâu
full stop.
bùng dây mà mắt em moi
Give him
mà
so
rồi
much,
tụ
actually, even at the very end, those shadow kills were able to actually take down single targets
Oh yeah.
on its own. So that just goes to show how ahead this Hayabusa was in terms of damage scaling. And when you scale that well, you are the biggest threat. Aside from obviously Super Marco, who's just on the other side
Super
of the map,
Marco
wreaking havoc to your tower.
Yeah, and again, let's go back to what I mentioned in the draft earlier when it came to Team Liquid Philippines. They were more proactive with the choices that
nếu
they
mà
made.
Super Marco đi cúp ớt miền kho mà bị rồi cúp áo tí
However,
cúp trâu rồi
sometimes the best offense
Anh
is
follow
the
Charles.
defense. The reactions Falcons had in the draft were better in the long run, and they played it in game.
thế make unfollow
There was something that
cũng
Brigitte
unfollow đi
tried to foresee where maybe what if Falcons will be reactive. No, they were very proactive in the game, while Team Liquid Philippines were the ones reacting to what Kyle TZ was doing in the early to mid game, to the point where even when JP, he saw Kyle TZ, he was like, I really want to get this dude down. Team Liquid Philippines were there to respond, but Kyle TZ was just able to get away, and eventually that became not the right pick to try and go for.
It's really hard to blame TLPH as well for playing that way, because it was so hard for either JP or Sanford to make a pickoff happen, because in order to do that, you had to get close to a glue, you had to get close to basically a walking wheel, which is Ogwen, and you're gonna get pushed off by either the Spear of Misery, right? It's so difficult.
Super Marco excellent in this game. The fact that he was able to survive that with just a flicker out, and of course Kyle TZ yet again, this is his highlight reel as well, being able to just find the back line. The only error I think that Falcons had in this game was when Super Marco decided to go in here, because this was where it started to feel like Team Liquid Philippines would have enough to turn the game around. But then that was it. Now, Falcons were sharp. Falcons held key objectives. It was Team Liquid Philippines desperately trying to find the unique angle to crawl back into this game and find a better position for themselves. But Falcons stuck to their fundamentals. Yes, they played defensive in the draft, but they played proactive in the game.
Yeah, you can feel the giggle from Falcons in this one, because I feel like Super Marco super locked in on what he needed to do. Again, almost each and every SOD actually hit.
Yes.
And it really had a high impact, except for that last one you pointed out. But everything else was just, oh wow, oh wow. And you actually gave us a bit of a masterclass as well on how to really execute that Farsa very early on.
Yeah, and again, another thing to point out about the lineup of Falcons here, they have the revitalized Winden. There's no revitalized
Good night.
Team Liquid Philippines, and
Okay,
that's why the
good night luôn á, tôi mong
they
nó
tried to attempt, just could not push through. There were members of Falcons who would just have enough health to survive and then keep fighting. And well, this is what this lineup is built for, fighting. Remember the last time we said where heroes that are stronger with continuous basic attack damage are very good against lineups that are tanky, slow front to back. Yes, Team Liquid Philippines are playing pick off in a way, but when you have the Granger with you, you have an element of slow front to back with you. But Super Marco said, let me come from all angles with my SOD, being able to reach the back line when I need to.
That's right, you have a pick-off lineup, but everyone else in front was so hard to ejector. And the guy that you're supposed to ejector, Few had a Purify, and Super Marco obviously is very far away from the fight, and the Hayabusa, good luck catching that one. So I get the problem that TLPH had here. Obviously, it was very difficult for them to actually make kills happen. That's why it's a 25-6 on the kill score, with Kyle TZ as our BPI rich guy. Everything else, Few did a majority of either making the damage happen or getting into the KP.
Yeah, definitely popping up here. The living legend in Few, showing why he is a living legend. Just when this team needed the most, you saw Falcons really understood that they cannot lose this game. They cannot be down 3-0 because it's going to be a titanic crawl to a turnaround. But they took over. They knew they needed to win this one.
Yeah, and of course, 824 GPM is no laughing matter. Like we said, that's the reason why he scaled so well. Like one target in TLPH was equal to one shadow kill. Actually, one shadow kill was like 1.5. So that's how strong Kyle TZ was in this one.
All right, so let's talk a little bit more about some of the minutia of the game. Yes, this game was determined a lot by the moves of Kyle, TZ, going in with the shadow, committing the shadow kill, and the rest of Falcons just following up. Or the moves of Few, going in, being aggressive, utilizing the Curse of Crow, the stun right away, and then bringing down a feathered airstrike. So to set things up for Kyle TZ and the rest of the team. This was a game determined a lot by the kills that Falcons were getting aggressively. Close relatively up until it eventually got out of the hands of Team Liquid Philippines, because when the Lord spawned and Team Falcons were able to get that without a problem, they got kills to boot as well. The lead just expanded. Team Liquid Philippines only got 2 turtles in this game, got a turret. Yes, they were getting the turtles, but then again, the question is, can you convert the major objectives into even more objectives? The answer was no, sadly enough, for Team Liquid Philippines. While for Falcons, the answer for them was yes, we will be able to convert the major objectives. Mainly, they weren't converting the turtles, they were mainly converting towers. They were converting lords into towers, and they were converting that into gold, into space. Space, which is very good for a lineup that has a Moskov and a Farsa with them. Again, the fact that they had the Revitalize and the Baksha meant that the early game team fights and pickoffs that Team Liquid Philippines wanted to get are going to be so much harder to take. When you have the glue rotating out of the EXP lane to join the fights alongside the Baksha, alongside the Farsa, that will make Suyo struggle. Suyo going up against magic damage is a struggle for early to mid. They leaned a little bit too hard, I feel like, on the Jawhead and Suyo combination. If that was something like a Gatotkacha instead of the Roam, then you would have the taunt to counter-engage what Team Falcons wanted to do. You would have a jump into the back line to make sure that you could try to force a reaction out of you, out of Super Marco. And of course, we know how Gatotkacha can survive long fights anyway, so that he will be able to deal that sudden burst of basic attack damage that he would get with his passive. And most importantly, if they had a Gatotkacha in that lineup for Team Liquid Philippines, they would have had an extra Revitalize to match the Revitalize of the Baksha. Though it would be a little bit nerfed compared, because Baksha naturally has the anti-heal, at least you'd be able to increase your chances. But I still also feel like that Suyo should have been a Lancelot, man. It's not just me fanboying. It's because of the whole magic damage relationship that we pointed out. So let's look at the item path here for Super Marco compared to Oheb. He was getting his core items first. Of course, with the 1,500 price of the Sky Piercer, we'll get that before the Golden Staff. But the fact that the Golden Staff came almost the same time as the Sky Piercer of Oheb, it shows just how fast Super Marco was able to get farm without that much of a problem. Oheb got his Malefic Roar almost the same time as Super Marco. Credits to Team Liquid Philippines for being able to keep the farm of Oheb relatively close, but they were just losing everything else. Their Roamer pick-off type against a lineup that has a Baksha and Glue, so difficult to pull off. I feel like that, again, will hammer down that point. Miscalculation, could have been a Gatotkacha plus something else. Probably would have fared better up against the Faisal Falcons, and increasing the chances that Team Liquid Philippines will be able to capitalize on punishing the errors that Falcons could have potentially made. But we live in this reality where it was Falcons who won the game. The item progression for Few as well, very good. He got his lightning charge 12 minutes in, but that's because he was very active with being present in the map. He got his Divine Glaive at 14 minutes in, and by that point, you're already locked in. So a great game by Falcons, a great draft, and of course a great game by Super Marco. Let's look at his average patch 1.9.64 stats for the mid-game stats for the 8 minutes. I did not break that, did I? Oh God, my goodness. Whew, I thought I'd lose a chunk of my talent fee there. I'm doing something wrong. Okay, so 67% kill participation for Super Marco. Definitely much better. Usually around the 8-minute mark, he's around level 10. But here, he was level 11. Gold difference, look at that massive gold diff compared to the average that he's done since post-patch. But in this game number 3, just goes to show how much better of a time Super Marco was able to have this time around. Again, because Falcons, as pointed out by the casters earlier, decided to focus on one thing this time around: their control and their advantage in the center of the map. The fact that he was able to deal almost 7,000 more damage than he does on the average by the 8-minute mark. Insane numbers. So let's revisit what we saw in that last draft. Team Liquid Philippines was on the red side, but I feel like that was a red side that could have been played
ស្ដាប់មិន
1-0.
បានទេបងអើ
Simply
យ
the fact that that is their comfort side. Right? 17-6. They
គេអត់និយាយខ្មែរ
really see red side so well. It's their most
គេ
heroes
និយាយ
pick
អង់គ្
in
លេស
that side.
យើង
But
អត់មាននិយាយខ្មែរទេ
just
ព្រោះ
didn't
អី
work out.
សុកគេនៅវាយខ្មែរយើងគឺ
Barca, Hayabusa all together.
គាត់លេងចាប់យូរ
Fantastic
ហើយ
draft by Falcons.
តើសួស្ដីខ្ញុំមកក្រោយៗចលៃសេមហ្នឹង
They weren't reactive in game. They were proactive compared to their reactiveness in the draft. You love to see it. It was a dominating game.
Wow,
but
so
it's a
bait
game
did
that
it.
the Falcons needed to potentially start their crawl back into this one.
That's true. It was really well needed, especially because you need that tempo. In a best of 7, like we mentioned earlier in the Index piece edition, it's a test of endurance. And you, in order to pull something, you gotta have some wins, you gotta have some dubs. Even in life, you gotta have those small wins so you can go and win the big picture. Right?
Yeah.
So that's I really like that for Falcons.
Yeah.
And we're also seeing a bit of evidence why a lot of teams really strayed away from the old drafts of regular season, right? We're seeing evidence right here.
Yeah.
So I hope that we can see something very more similar to Falcons here, that's
មើល FC សិនទៅចូលហើយ
and maximizing the heroes that we have, like the Magoons are still really scared as well. I hope we see more mid.
Mở
Yeah. Oh, terrific game by the Falcon squad. Kyle TZ, of course, MVP. Flap TZ on point with the centuries. Great timing alongside.
មានមិនគ្រប់គ្រាន់ក្នុងការវាយលើ set boy ទេបាទ Golden Shack អី Golden Snack នេះប្រយ័ត្នយាយអាយ៉ា Golden Snack ប្រយ័ត្នគេវាយវិញកុំលេងសើចអូយហើយ set boy ឃើញគេនៅហ្នឹងនៅខមុខគេទេណា set boy
Yeah, bay vậy? Yeah, bay.
Ồ, tôi sẽ đâu guys.
Let's go, Logic. Okay, bay or not?
អាយហ្សែនជិះលងស្អីអត់មានអតេវ
ក្រែងចើ
ហ្នឹង
ហ្នឹងគេមាន fan needed ទេតតាអ៊ូខុងគាត់ perfect combo ចាំបាន fan needed
យោចុក fan នេះទៅយកក្រែងចោលហៅវាយហៀលដែរ
មកវិញហើយ share ផងសន្ទ្រា
Midland អីអត់វាយហាងមានអ៊ូខុងនៅមុខនៅ mid ដែរ Goland ទៅខ្លាចគេមាន damage reduction
ណាអ៊ូខំ
ញ៉ោក3គ្នាប៉ា
អ៊ូខំ
ទួចថតទី1មក fan នេះផែមក
đấy ạ
អត់វាយមនុស្សដែរ
hay da nó hai cái bay với đường Golden Star nó ấy Golden Snake ở đâu tây làm Golden Star mấy nhưng mà cái bay bạc giết đời toàn mình Golden tê ở Ultimate ai đen ở đây ai là không back team fight đây một cái Napi Zero Legend chị nhưng mà thằng chán đánh bái thì sàn lá là muối bay phí nhưng mà thằng xem mỗi
Zero Legend មួយនេះផ្សេងនេះ
lớn thì cao bay muối smart rồi mình tin lớn và đôi chị em prototype
គឺnó អត់ល្បើ
มาเอาปัญหาเต้สำหรับบุรีรัมย์ปีเอามิดเนี่ยไปอัพไปเต้ไปในการกล่าวในพนัยทอมในอุ้งทองลอลสบายบุญจะมาเปิดการศูนย์ยอดได้บุญนะปงมังกังปลายตายรีวิวสั้นมาเลยไอ้เจ้าอะไรในการต่อเตี้ยจะมาในการช็อตแฟนอีดาวน์กำลังไปมวยฟรีมูกันนะชมแฟนนี่ก็จบลุกปุ๊บปฏิบัติแฟนบอลบัตรให้ลอลก็อุ้งทองลอลกำลังให้ลอลlô tới từ màn tịch
Tì lol
tầng skill thì pi tầng flicker là với đại thằng này và trong ai thế bảy tì là bông mười sáu bảy môi nâng bảy hạt sao nó bao nè ba đường con sao bọt co ra
yes cùng vậy cứ anh dây chóp đi vậy cứ đây cái cặp yeah bẻ cà này luôn
không sờ bài on vậy
chẳng lem nhưng khơi nhai chỉ muốn game này mình con men chỉ muốn thêm file cho té thao tí pin cam trong phê bật tên này ai ra có đan snack chan ta khơi men chỉ muốn nàng phu không lo lực men bằng này cảm ơn mơ tầm rong này ca cho invest được một cái dạng này ai dễ chung đôi mày đã chuẩn bị bắt nhỉ
chẳng vậy đã đánh cái tầm con game hiểm liền
chỗ đó hay
khó đây tân tới phải đi miền pi
ôi có cho mày
phải pi mười
ชดน้อยแฟนนี้ก็มาจำนวนการจับแคบเบอร์ไปจอตามเราเลือกแซดบอยอย่างนั้นไม่ปีโตมวยตายไปจะตามตีมาแต่บัตรแซดบอยมาได้อย่างนั้นไม่แซดบอยกับการมาตอนจะบอยหนึ่งทอมในเด็กในวันนั้นแต่นั้นไม่อย่างมึงตีล้อแฟมปีแลนด์มาได้อย่างนั้นไม่เล่นยังเคยบุญตีตะบงตอนไอจานแต่เลี้ยมๆจำนวนหนึ่งคนแดนสแน็คดีจานเคยแม่เป็นจำนวนหนึ่งบุกกองล้อกัดงัดทิ้งไปจะตามเราแต่แฟนนี้ก็มาได้จำนวนเฮกซี่เรโอ้ยบ้าอ่านฝ่ายตอดมูลเราแต่บอกปัจจุบันมันการโซนไอแซนเคลียร์แข่งกราฟมาประเทศสันมาด้วยกันนายทอนนี่อาจจะมาตอนนี้มันอาจครั้งต้องมาเต็งใบจะตันนอนกราฟบอลเลี่ยมแซดบอยเต็งจับเต็งซังละล่าออสกี้ปีมาได้จะเมื่อจำนวนไอแซนก็มาได้น้องเปมเต็งในดึกในมาได้ชูมวยชูปีชูใบชูบุญปากอาร์เมดปากอาร์เมดัสอาร์ยัดปากอาร์เมดเตโกแดนสแน็คชีจานบกจำนวนไอแซนเต็งใบจะตันนอนตีเลอร์แฟนนี่ก็มาได้จำนวนการโชว์เลี่ยมจำนวนกราฟก็มาได้ใบบัวในเราจีกอจะตันนอนแต่น้ำไม่จุดทำไม่ได้มันโจมไอแซนใบตอนที่ดึกในมาได้ปีโดนมุดตลอดได้ใบตอนนี้สลับเราแทบเราเทียบกันไอ้การไอ้เชียร์ได้ใบไปโนบุญโนโปรงต่อไปโปรจะได้เราปีมาเจอเราบ่ดีโนเลเจนมาได้
ไอ้แซนไฟฮอลโอ้ไอ้แซนแฟนนี้บอกให้บอกปีtrong hội bay gọi không à hơn nữa HNG mà là những cứ ai sẽ quay o cho time non đi lối ban stack ban sky phía dưới chạm tí lươn tán việt thấm
phải ca chốt ơi
lịch bay khe gồ đặt thiêu bon ra hàng lơ đẹp chi cô này mới là ca mình to tầm ná hôm nay là can vẽ đặt pro rục xì rồi qua đây tí pi buôn thò tí pi mình gặp lại nơi lô sạch đấy anh sẽ con bay của bay để phi cho thò bán của bán thế này ôm đấy
yes
golden snake
anh nói bộ bay ấy
váy lệ tập lọt mùi con đá liềm lên cho mùi golden snake mình can nọc mùi con đá chỉ cỏ tại sad boy hay mình cao vai đây mình này mình cam đi
ơi chơi mắc sai rồi không rồi rồi
coi xịt kem mùi con đá tí lơ bao nhiêu bên là chi tay fan đi mùi đòn chi tay bao nhiêu là ca shot fan đi đã bị tí lơ vậy thì nhá ai dán đánh lót tí xa là lá phải tí xa lá mùi dạng nào on ai dán mùi lứt đây là chất con pro vi an cảnh thôi sần thì thủ nấp lên bottom line anh những cái do con Epic mà cho vào lôi check e-sport phải ở té ban thìวันที่ถูกกับนั้นก็ใช้เป็นการ invest
มาแน่
Really, it is effective. Like, not even kidding. Like, not just
phủ mà nằm to om ơi
and I really hope that we can see more very beautifully scalped keepers. Just like that guy.
Beautifully scalped.
Like,
I didn't know that was an adjective.
Is that correct? I hope that's correct.
Yeah, I didn't know that was an adjective you could use. You know what? That's cool. Beautiful scalp means you have beautiful hair.
People with beautiful scalps. There you go.
Yeah.
That's better.
that's better
But you know what? Speaking of beautiful people, so many people around the whole Philippines right now are actually tuning in and watching the MPL Philippines playoffs. We are in day number 4, and here we are, right? In all their form and glory. Oh my goodness! Look at that.
We have watch fests going on all over the country in Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, the 3 major island regions here in the Philippines. And of course, it's just nice to have a quick look at, of course, at our PH and English casters desk and our PH panelists as well, with Midnight and Chantel being there. So, MPL PH Watch Fest, you really just have to understand that this is a national thing in the Philippines. All over the country, people are watching. We've set up opportunities for people to watch live if they couldn't make it here all the way to Greens and Makati. So shout out to everyone who is watching at our Watch Fests.
Yeah, for the longest time, these Watch Fests, MPL Philippines finals, playoffs have always been the time when MPL players, ML players in general, would meet up with their squads and just see each other in real life.
Yeah.
So I hope that you're able to do that. Invite your friends over to your local Watch Fest and just have a lot of fun enjoying the MPL Philippines playoff. Again, we are the best of the best, and the best of the best ranked gamers also meet up during this time.
Yeah, hopefully I don't run into any of the ranked gamers who increase my blood pressure in solo queue. No, I'm kidding. I'd love to meet you guys. I can teach
nằm lên màn tay nó pi nè
I'm messing with
Are you actually kidding?
Let's go.
Back up here for our draft for game number 4.
Butterfly bomb diamond.
Hello! I had so much fun waving at the watch parties earlier and seeing how hyped all the audience were, but this is what makes the entire evening exciting. It's Falcons securing a point against Team Liquid Philippines and us not going for a sweep.
You don't want us to go for a sweep.
I mean, I did vote for Liquid, but I would not want the sweep in the lower brackets fine.
Yeah, no one would want to sweep at this point. So far, though, our draft very similar to game number 3.
Game number 3.
Hayabusa and Farsa again for Falcons.
my
Organi-
Thằng hình như lại xem là mới nhanh.
Same one. Will it change here for TLPH? The first
Oh.
they steal the
Ơi chứ vai ban lên hai gia lốt lên hai gia lốt đấy.
Going down the durability
Okay.
of Falcons, because that's the biggest problem of OHEM earlier. That glue is, it's so hard to really do it, especially if you have so many good frontliners up on it. That's absorbing all your
Em lứa à?
rapid. That's not it.
Nước men
Yeah,
à?
and at least now they have someone who can
Ôi chứ.
be that solid tank to just take up the damage
Ây
from
mày.
Falcons, especially considering that
Ôi,
the
tao nom ok.
damage distribution just looks too well yet again. Because earlier it felt like Team Liquid Philippines were relying too much on the setups. They
Đợt
had
cái
good
chân này à mấy bắn chanh
players
chứ.
to go for setups, and once you put them in dangerous positions, it's just so hard for them to.
Ngôn đó là cái bẻ áo với ngôn đó này. Cái tầm sân ngôn đó này.
that he came all the way from the southern isles of the Philippines.
Wow.
Hèn
Just
số.
to watch FBL.
Trời.
Thank you so much.
Thế sao cầm?
for your commitment to Valorant.
Cầm.
The real South. Yeah, that's a real South. South piece. So hopefully all are.
Cặp cầm ra mùi mơ.
The yeehaw south of the Philippines.
Yeehaw.
We don't get to see the Hanzo, by the way, but we see him now as a cosplayer.
That's true.
Yes.
Speaking of junglers, though, are they banning out the Ling again for Team Liquid Philippines?
I would highly suggest they do, but then again, they can just shift things up here in terms of the draft. That banning out the Ling means you're most likely. Whoa, they want the Ling?
Whoa!
What?
Is that a challenge?
Oh, hey!
Oh, that's not this is
Mặt
not look
chi
good for
đà.
Falcons right now.
Wait, what if we like bring it back to
Để lên mặt thiệt đã bật lên mặt thiệt đã trong vòng vô hơi rồi.
very
Yep.
reliable utility jungler, you know?
Yeah.
Alpha?
It's either gonna be a
Ai đang chăng gõ này
Alpha.
Alpha.
I feel like it's what we were also
Alpha. Fatrin.
So yeah, they could go tanky, put it all in the.
Vừa lên mặt thiệt đã vừa chạm vô trang gõ đây ở bên đá skill rất màu quýnh.
They gotta go tanky again, and I think Super
Ai đang mặt
Marco needs
ai
something
đang
that can
Fatrin.
move really well
Ai đang
while
Fatrin. Không
dishing
kịch
out
chưa?
basic attacks
Bà
and
Alpha
can
được
also
mình
survive.
So that's the
Khỏe.
hero now?
That sounds like it, doesn't it?
It might not be enough in terms of the damage. However, they do have the high boost.
Alpha vô vậy. Alpha vô vậy bật xìa. Bật xìa mình tan mùi.
They went for a Bea.
Alright, there we
Bật
go.
trick Khalid.
I like that.
Alright, not the goal laters we expect.
Vô Khalid mà
The calories.
Alpha man.
Swap out.
Alpha là ngày của hero. Tại cái vô mặt thiết đa mất cái đây là trang có thứ đây là trang có đa movement speed dữបំphật.
Frightening early game. Team Liquid are leaning on their Liquid Stampede identity. While for Falcons, they do have a Khalid with them in the roam that could potentially set the tempo here. But this is not going to be as easy a game as game number 3.
Thì mà ngay tầm khơi à bị này nó tầm màu mà game nào ta game muốn nó toàn khơi nhỉ.
Again,
right.
very old school DNA. I know you guys missed the regular season alpha.
Let's go. Counter in the
And TLPH is bringing that back with a little bit of flavor with the
line up rating pha con nó
You
lăn.
have to look at the Falcons rating.
Ui,
Crowd
ui, chết
control
bún
up the wazoo. And that might be the difference maker here. But again, it's a glue on the other side. Every time there's a glue, it's always the X factor.
Alright, let's load up into the game for game number 4. Falcons keeping it close. Let's go.
Game
An
number
old
4.
favorite makes its return to the land.
Một ba tầm 4 game tí 4 nè.
Stats we have on Jungle Alphas now making its way into the playoffs. Welcome to game
Drop.
number 4. Finally, Falcons on the
Game
board.
number 4.
Far from equalizing. This is a clash of titans. Ingan, is this the right time to bring out the Alpha again?
Yeah, if you pair it up, of course, with JP's Matilda, could be a viable option for TLP,
Cái lướt bao á.
especially as we approach the 8-minute mark things could go well for TLPH up against Sea Falcons.
Yeah, and I feel like it's not just the Alpha that the Mathilda could work well alongside
Senji
with.
ni
It's
ល្អណាស់
also the Jushin, if they want to like match
Jushin.
Sanji and his aggression, then they can do just that because they'll get the circling eagles,
Steal
they'll
more.
get the guiding wind so they can quickly get out of danger. And I feel like you could say the same for Sanford, right? We
It
often
is
see
still
these
Habano.
kinds of duos wherein the XP laner just dives deep in the back lines, but there's someone to fetch him. There's someone to save him. if
បានឯ
he's
ណា
in
មកធៀបដែរណា
a
ស្កុយ
very dangerous position.
And the Wazoo is, I don't know if it's correct.
ខាតល
protected
វែ
enough because there's only one Purify for Falcons. It's just few.
គេដឹងទៀតអេអត់មានស្មៃហង
Play here?
Yeah, especially in the early game. Don't let
Eh,
Super
how
Mario
came
scale
out?
up early on. Carl Teasy
អឺ
goes in with
អត់
the
ទៅមើលបែប
ultimate.
4ទេ
Paired up with Sanford there. They want to go for the first
Ui.
one kill. Purify popped by few.
មក
and
ចុយមកលើ
Sanford
អត់បានបែប
they got
4
what
ហង
they wanted.
Yeah, they were clearly forcing a fight there. Even a pickoff at
Rồi,
first
Khao
for
TC
Kyle
đã
TC,
dục thích rồi.
but he got his level 4, so I feel like that was a bit of a signal too for Team Liquid Philippines to
ហ្គេមនេះមិនស្រួលលេងនឹងហ្គេមមុនទេណា
maybe
ខាល
save in terms of their next few decisions, because there is an upcoming objective and they definitely do not want to lose someone before that.
Mhm.
We have met objective. The turtle spawning in just a few up in the
Philippine
XP lane down
sniper.
here, bottom quarter of the map. Even without kills, I'd say Liquid is ahead here.
Yeah, especially with the way they're controlling the map right now. A lot of zone from JP and Sanford.
ហ្វ្រីទៅថលទៅដែរ
Carl Teasy, let's see how
អត់ស្មៃទេនេះ
they respond.
លុយសុត
What trades will they look for?
Wow, I feel like for now, none. They won't be getting anything. Kyle TZ is still about to secure his purple buff. And all those resources burned by Team Liquid prior to that turtle were so worth it.
Yeah. Compared to game number 2, we don't see actually Few and Ogwin be as aggressive in the center of the map compared to what we witnessed in game number 2. So far TLPH, Sanji and JP, their combo again is slowly working for them, giving a lot of space for OHEB. And this is what Brigida is mentioning. Not just the Alpha will benefit from the Matilda, but also OHEB. Eventually, he'll stack up fast.
Yep. And a game that has OM losing a lot is a tough game to win for Liquid. And now it's clear. There's the troll. Feather strike.
Everyone jumping in. Kyle Teasy goes in with the Oigi Shadow kill. Sanji was able to Crimson Beacon out and sustain the damage. Again, no casualties. So far, 3 minutes in, no first blood.
Yeah, and they're allowing OHEB to do the double lanes. You like to see this for Team Liquid Philippines. One of the probably biggest factors for them establishing and carrying out the entire Liquid Stampede thing is when they're able to gain full control or dominance in terms of what we see along the mid and along the river side, which was something clearly that they were able to do in the first 2 games, but they lost it in game number 3 and you knew what happened.
We're on our way to actually witnessing a brand new kind of Liquid Stampede. They don't have to kill you. Still, no casualties yet. They're already approaching a 2,000 gold lead. Liquid is running through you, hitting hard, hitting fast.
Yeah.
Without having to kill, they're just getting what they want and moving on.
Yeah. Having a lot of information, not giving Kyle Teasy a good time. So far, game number 3, Kyle Teasy started out strong. He even came to a point before 8 minutes. He was 5-0-0 already with Hayabusa.
Yeah, and
មកលេខ
for
2
Team
ល្បែល
Liquid, they don't really need to. Oh wait,
អូវែន
Damage from Ogwin. Forced
Boom.
out the raging Sandstorm.
ដាច់អូវែន
Got
ហ្វ្រី
caught
បាត់
out
ហើ
there
យ
by the circle eagle of JP for Sanji to be able to take him down. Kyle Teasy jumps in with a shadow already with the Yuigi
Nope.
shadow kill. But just one
អូអា
Crimson
Sanji នេះល្អ
was
មែន
more than enough to save himself.
Fancy feat by Sanji. Didn't even need to use the flicker.
yeah, and look at that. Like, the first casualty we see in the game was actually just a punish. It was just Team Liquid Philippines reacting to seeing Ogwen all alone in that area, and now this could potentially be another free objective for them.
Carl Teasy again, uncontested turtle king. So now Team Falcons, they might just go and default back to their usual strategy, feed a lot of resources for Super Marco, eventually help him scale up, and it's going to be Flap, Teasy, and Ogwin to help them reach that point.
Oh, even if that is the plan for Marco, he's 1,000 behind from OHEB, already on his way to becoming the BPI rich guy of game number 4.
Oh yeah, and he first had to build that that sea halberd before anything else, because he knows how much they have to deal with in terms of Team Liquid and their overall sustain, but they're able to hold onto this turret, and at least for Team Falcons, they're not allowing Team Liquid Philippines to convert anything just yet into a turret.
That's right. On a fundamental level, Falcons is playing the right way. They know how to stem the bleeding, but again, it seems like Liquid is ready for this. Liquid is prepared to go slow but steady and still stampede through.
Yeah, and slow and steady wins the race. They now converted one objective, a third takedown up top. And if you're gonna look at the level gap between the junglers, 2 level gap already.
Oh.
Even if nothing's happening,
Khô khuyên pin được bé đấy chàng rồi.
on to Marco and to Kyle TZ, treating like this purple
Cái smite
is a lord. There's a shadow bomb. Kyle TZ might be able to take it still, but they
Bàn
stole
kia.
it away.
Oh, they're barely allowing Kyle TZ to get his
Khô
hands
niệm
on
bay là
the
ba đấy nè.
purple buff. And that diminishes the threat you could feel from
Snowball
him.
ra.
Being in the gaps, being in the pickoffs, you know he doesn't have a purple buff.
And that was off of the back of a failed flicker grab. Sanford didn't get the press hit. I guess there wasn't enough stacks on the targets, yet they still got away with it. Call easy coming in.
Forced out Super Marco's dash and flicker, so a major resource expended already for the side of Team Falcons. Meanwhile, Oheb having the time of his life. Every single lane he's there pushing turrets.
Big money, big XP, forcing few out of here. A Sonata almost lethal.
Fortunately, Flap TZ was able to block it out, but JP
Đặt
jumped
pha
in
xa
off the
vào
back
đó.
to deliver the final blow onto Few. JP might fall
Cho mà
down
cái
here,
chui pha
but he
nè.
stays alive as Owen jumps in to make sure to take him down. And we get shadow kill finally for Kyle TZ to trade out
Một
Sanji.
trồi pig.
We've only seen 4 kills so far in the past 7 minutes, but it feels like we've already seen so much. Though this is the 3rd consecutive turtle that will go into the hands of Team Liquid, so that's an easy 5k gold lead for them already.
Throughout those sequences, I'm talking about the past minute, Kyle hasn't farmed anything. He had to be on guard and be ready to join fights. What did that lead to? Carl TZ maintaining his XP lead. We're approaching a 3k XP lead here. And again, I don't even want to talk about gold lane, man. Oheb is out farming Super Marco like crazy. This is the baby X duo at work.
Another jump in from Carl TZ. Just for the Spear of Alpha, they force out the Raging Sandstorm. Now immediately transitions to the middle lane to take it down. Oigi Shadow Kill, not enough damage.
Oh.
Sanford latches on to Flap TZ. Even if this is a backshot, they might be able to bring him down and feeds the kill off to Oheb. Owen might be the next target here. That's Sonatas again
Đó là
for
Oheb.
TLPH, and they converted those kills into objectives.
Yeah, you're starting to feel how
Oheb
TLPH
đi mạch cọp ở đây
definitely
nhé.
know that they're running out of time. They have to make things quick because Super Marco is one of those. He's on one of those heroes that you will have a terrible time fighting up against if you do reach the late game.
And we are at the mid game, the cusp of the Lord coming through. In about 40 seconds, Lord will spawn in the lower quarter. And again, the map just doesn't agree and align with Falcons. It's a shame that few can't wings by wings from bush to bush, that Flap can't just roll up in the bushes, because they have to protect their cores.
Yeah, and apart from that 3 consecutive neutral objectives, they had to concede because of the spike of an Alpha paired up with a Matilda. And now they might even be able to pop an energy shield down bottom and take away the orange.
Đò cò.
They take away Kyle TZ, immediately disintegrated him down to the ground.
Mắm mắt
Perfect timing,
ơi.
15 seconds, Lord is up.
That's what I'm talking about. Again, number 1 GPM and DPM all season long. Number 2 total kills. That's a season MVP for season 15. Oheb.
And how did Kyle TZ suddenly disappear like that? We barely see any kills.
There was no Sky Piercer stats.
There were no Sky
Dội
Piercer
cho bài kia
stats,
đấy.
but he just got deleted with a Rhapsody. So that just goes to show how much ahead Oheb is already in terms of his farm, in terms of his items.
Now TLPH capitalizing on that lead by taking away every single jungle creep that they can see. Kyle TZ stuck at level 11 compared to Carl TZ.
Oheb mình lên mà cái nó.
Automatically, Team Falcons have
Nhìn
to
ý
concede
kiến
this unless they go for the trade kills
I
instead.
think that is the wise thing to do. Falcons, just let it go. Just commit to defending. You are built to defend. You have the high
Oheb
ground
adapt state
advantage.
Sky Piercer.
You have good firepower to
Vừa
do
mẹ
just
bị kill.
that. 8k now ahead. Liquid Philippines. And alone on Oheb, alone, 3,000 over Super Marco. Tell his coach, tell his mom, tell people online, he's got a lot of money.
He has money. We're not gonna believe whatever he said in the past anymore. It's different now,
Sai
and it's
rồi.
gonna be
Guess
easier for Team Liquid Philippines to make use of this lord that they secured, because they've already pretty much taken out off some of the holy shields that are still intact for Team Falcons. Fortunately for them, they still have the one in mid, and they have Super Marco. You know how reliable the Bennett Rage, that Nibiru's passion, is going to be when it comes to wave clear.
Yeah, but the thing is, DLP's dive-centric lineup can always disrupt the feathered airstrike and the ults that can come from the Beatrix, especially with the lead that they have. There goes the ultimate from Beatrix. Thankfully are the Lord.
Shield popped in mid, but Falcons take care of business. In comes Kalteezy, shadow kill.
Yeah, it's the Wee Shadow
Chop flab rồi.
minions, but immediately Flapteezy got deleted. The cavalry respecting the damage of the feathered airstrike, but they were able to pop all energy shields.
Not even the backshot felt tanky enough. And now they're going to transition to the mid lane.
Trời ơi, mà Sanji.
Even
Boom.
Sanji goes in with the Crimson Beacon to zone out
Trong ban
Team
mid lane.
Falcons. Base and now
Tao tiến lái.
Super Marco able to clear it out, but they're
Thôi mà thêm
minions
liquid
onto
à.
bottom lane. OF gonna make sure to bring down the turret.
And down it goes. 2 lanes exposed. Falcons have to defend. If in the mid game it was dire, now approaching the late game, I don't know what the worst is over worst, because that is what they're staring down. A 12k gold lead approaching.
Không thấy, không thấy.
Trying to zone out the side
Thế
of
còn con
TL.
xe tao bay kia, bay một chanh rồi.
It's a successful raging sandstorm into a Bennett's Rage for Super Marco and the Feathered Airstrike, but so far, Team Liquid Philippines, they're
Từ đây.
The
à,
lantern
tao.
flare from Sanji
Tao
was
bay
just
mui
too
đấy.
much. In an instantaneous burst there for TOPA, just an 11.5.
Cái gì nó không tập mình nhóc bay kìa.
I hate to say it, but we're throwing back to 2022.
Bốc qua đây kìa, mấy tục kìa, vô tục.
A slow-paced stampede.
Cái chạp bao nhiêu, chạp nè mùi vào đây, cái này chờ đạch. Tao rồi đấy, đây chuyện. Trời, cái ấy tới cho bay kìa. Team Liquid.
Precision macro put on display by the first seed of the regular season in season 15. Team Liquid Philippines 1 game away from going to the grand finals.
such a carefully executed,
My God,
such
cái
a
live
clean way,
final đây.
and probably a different version indeed of the entire Liquid Stampede.
I'm not comfortable with this. Renmar Rockhart, how they do that?
That match point was super quick. I mean, they figured out something very early on in that game, and they did not let go.
Yeah, again, it was just a remix of the previous draft, except this time around TLPA is drafting on the red side, changing things up greatly. They went for the glue third pick, then Matilda Alpha last 2 picks. Now when it's a lineup that has an assassin versus a lineup that's focused for the fighter utility jungle, then the assassin lineup is willing to give up the early turtles, the first 2 ones, because you're going to try to get ganks elsewhere, get wins elsewhere. But Team Falcons just could not get that. Or, if you are confident enough to play better than the opposing team, then you're going to try to take it to them to the skirmishes. But the skirmishes that we saw that led to 0 kills for a long amount of time meant that this guy got the farm up so easily. This was textbook old school utility jungle playstyle by Team Liquid Philippines that meant that they fed into their carry, their gold laner, their regular season MVP to take control of this game quick.
1011 GPM. Definitely got money in the bank. And with 150% KP as well. Basically filling out the whole graph. He did everything that was necessary. TLPA should actually get it. And yes, you can confirm. He's got money.
Yep.
You can ask him. You can ask him.
He is the rich guy. I mean, not the beat rich guy, but he probably will be. Okay, so for Falcons, now their lineup was again their choice. They decided to keep drafting the same way. It was Team Liquid Philippines setting the tempo in the second
Team
phase
Liquid
with their
lụa game.
pick.
Eh, Team Liquid nó lụa game.
Where they could have gotten this win. But it was more difficult to get there compared for Team Liquid Philippines. Again, the reason
mà ghé mày.
utility fighter jungle playstyle dominated for so long, especially when it's paired up with a strong support roamer, is because it's easier to pull off. The lineup that Falcons has compared to the lineup of Team Liquid Philippines is more difficult to pull off. And especially when it's empowered by a really good and strong EXP laner with great crowd control that breaks formations in the glue, the Team Liquid Philippines definitely had this in the bag at the end of the draft. With the way that they played, Yeah, it was just way too tough for Falcons to control.
That's right. Despite the lineup of the Falcons looking like it could give you a good fight at the very late game
Yeah.
with that Matrix and Super Marco, we were not given an opportunity to actually witness that.
Yeah.
That is a 12-minute and 13-second game. So there was just no way for this lineup to shine. Few was the closest that we could get to see Falcons putting up a fight against TLDH. But then again, he was consistently getting dove on non-stop. Lantern flare over his head. It was just so hard to actually get things done. Vice versa.
Yeah, this was a fantastic game by Sanford, Carl Tizzi.
Falcon ដើម្បីវាយមួយគេមិនល្អណាស់
The rotations of Team Liquid Philippines really
Yeah,
good.
I've
They
had
were
my
able
butt
to
dog
invade
on.
the jungle at the right amount of times. They weren't forcing things to happen because they knew naturally they had the easier lineup to pull off again, the deadlier lineup, because they literally, one ultimate from the Alpha changes the picture of a team fight for Team Falcons. Even though they have the counter in the Feathered Airstrike, that's pretty much it. Kaltizi can only do so much with the damage of his Shadow Kill, especially, as you see, he did not even scratch 20,000 damage dealt in this game, only 18,327 because of the shields provided by the Matilda. And confirmed, he does have money.
He does have money.
1,011 GPM, crazy.
That's the highest GPM we have so far in the playoffs. I think
Yes,
the closest
yes.
was like 940 something
Yeah.
by King Kong. So this is absolute masterclass of how to use that Ranger. Again, nerf to the ground as much as you want, but you know what? You can never nerf the player. He is the Filipino sniper.
Yeah, this is the great thing about the meta, honestly. In a post that I made before the playoffs, this meta right now rewards creativity and flexibility. This was one of the main conditions here for Team Liquid Philippines. Show your adaptability to survive, because this is the meta where assassins and fighters in the jungle equally thrive. Alright, so we're back on the screen right here, and I think it was very clear what happened. Falcons just had a more difficult lineup against a lineup that's literally 2 button presses away from being able to win the major objectives. Falcons, understandably so, in their chances to find wins in the early game, decided to back off when they needed to. Again, I think that we really need to respect against a lineup that has a Matilda with it. The shields, that is such a game changer. And it took a while for Falcons to get their major defense items, healing reduction items, as heroes on the hands of like the likes of Flaptees and even Owen had to go for a different build path. No major objectives on the side of Falcons. Everything went Team Liquid's way. Just a slow climb up for Team Liquid to dominate. And again, the age-old relationship between a lineup that has an assassin center core against a fighter center core. And the thing about Alpha is, you think of him as a utility fighter type of jungle, but the man, Cyberman, I guess you could call him. Yeah, he is a cyborg. Deals true damage. So it's like it's like an assassin as well. That's tanky, that has strong spell vamp, paired up with a Matilda. Crucial point here, of course, in the 5 to 7 minute mark, as you saw. If Falcons were able to get a win there, could have been a different story, but they just could not. Let's follow the path here of Super Marco compared to Ohem. 6 minutes was able to build up the Sea Halberd first. Between 4 and 5 minutes, Ohem already had the Hunter Strike. Malefic Gun for Super Marco, which he really needed to rush out as quickly as possible so that he had more reach to deal with, to pair up with the Farsa better, and to stay alive better while dealing damage. By the time he built his second item, already up to a Malefic Roar was Ohem. And when you get to this point, and with the Malefic Roar on the marksman, and the opposing jungler is not having a good time and is working through a deficit, that usually means the team that already has the main core items of the marksman will absolutely stop the lineup that has the jungler still trying to catch up, unless the marksman did some god mode farming. But no, it took 14 minutes for Super Marco to get to his Blade of Despair. It's just no other way to put it, man. This is 100% all Team Liquid Philippines with the draft that they had and with how sharply they played it. So now let's look at the playoffs and where we are. The heroes used per role. See this very wide pool of EXP laners, exactly as I predicted online, where this is one of the main pinpoints of the draft that we have to think about because of the flexibility of that role and what you can pair up there. But then as the playoffs we went on, we learned that, all right, jungles, 100%. You can juggle it between fighters and assassins, between the Baksha, Fred, Rin, Lucas, and the rest of the more mobile assassin pools that we have. We're not just stuck in Joy versus Stuyo anymore, thank goodness. The roam pool as well, very varied all across the board, but the mid lane pick is where it's at, as we have one very important trait there, the Juicin and the Farsa. There's a hero here though that I'm surprised we haven't seen all series long in the Kimmy, which goes to show that these two teams are over-respecting number one, the mid lane trade with the Farsa, Juicin, Loyi, Eve, those heroes, and number two, the trade between the assassins of the Hayabusa and Link. That's why we haven't seen Kimmy at all this series. That's why we've seen 1-1 respect banned out, and for the Baksha, why that became such a linchpin, as the flexibility of that Baksha opens up so many possibilities in the drafts. Look at all the flex that you have that you can juggle between roam, EXP, and jungle. And even one of the key picks that we have yet to see in this draft is a flex as well in mid and gold. This is why the meta that we have for the MPL Philippines Season 15 playoffs and the playoffs for global MLBB esports in this meta game is one of the most diverse and creatively demanding metas that we have with all of the flex. It's like a quiet creep-in of the utility fighter jungle meta where it's not just where it's not just locked into one role, it's locked across many roles.
And that's exactly where I actually imagined seeing MLBB for the longest time, because I know we did so many shifts from fighter, from assassin to fighter
Ah.
to tank to back to assassin, and now it's just like it's no man's land in jungle where
Yep.
you go pick what you want, what your composition needs, and for the longest time we're not stuck in a 1v1, and I really love seeing that as well.
Yeah. Well, speaking of no man's land, though, Falcons find themselves in no man's land. They need to pull off an insane comeback here if they want. But again, they're up against a team that just know how to control early to mid so well that I wouldn't be surprised if this game number 5 goes Liquid's way, breaking my Falcon Sky heart, and they do it in Liquid Stampede fashion. Falcons, whatever they're talking about right now, has to be a major shift in draft identity, in draft priority, that'll shake up Team Liquid to their core.
That's right, and they're literally under us.
Yeah.
We're on the platform. The players holding
Yeah.
areas below
If I'm not careful, I'm gonna break through a ceiling and right into the huddle of Team Falcons.
in the middle of their meeting.
So I'm just parked right here.
So we're trying not to move.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. So yeah, right now we see where the meta is. But what about where all of our teams are in terms of MSC and EWC?
Yung siyempre yung unang-una yung comps. Nakamiss na magsalita ng Pinoy. Pati yung kultura ng Pinas siyempre. Tsaka yung family ko, tsaka yung mga kaibigan ko dyan. Siguro abangan nila lahat ng team kasi lahat ng team malakas kahit sa China and sa mga iba't ibang bansa rin. Kumbaga may mga bansa na nagdo-dominant yung mga team. Yan. Abangan nila lahat ng magka-qualify. Sa mga fans number nila, supportahan nyo lang supportahan nyo kami and yung mga iba't ibang team sa iba't ibang region. Pati yung mga import sa iba't ibang bansa.
Siguro ngayon mas mahirap siya kasi yung meta nung unang season namin dito sa Malaysia, nung season 11, paulit-ulit lang yung mga hero nun eh. Tapos sobrang dali lang talaga laruin kaya yung ngayon kasi dami-daming hero pwedeng gamitin sa meta kaya mas mahirap i-draft pati expect yung mga gagamitin ng kalaban niya. Siguro yung Onyx kasi wala pa kaming bawi sa kanila eh. Simula nung nakalaban namin sila kaya gusto namin bumawi sa international. Guys, sana supportan niyo kami sa laban namin ngayong playoffs this Sunday. And sana makapag-secure kami ng slot sa MSC para makatapat namin yung ibang PH team.
There you go. From our fellow Filipinos, Cram and Innocent, all the way in MPL Malaysia, are defending EWC champions, by the way.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, and I love that I actually brought it up. What we were literally talking about. There's such a diverse pool of heroes that even they are having a hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love that. So hopefully we'll meet them in getting ready for Riyadh. From July 10 to August 2, it's 1 game and 2 champions.
So MSC, the Mid-Season Cup, and the MLBB Women's Invitational unite for the biggest MLBB showdown ever at EWC 2025.
So don't forget to get that MSC 2025 tournament pass ticket, which are officially on sale. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, get your pass for knockout stage and grand finals now at webook.com. That's WEBOOK.com.
And don't forget to watch the world's best clash in Riyadh. Don't miss your seat and be part of the moment in MSC.
Yeah, by the way, MWI 2025, the best women's teams in the world, also free for everyone. So don't miss your chance to witness the pinnacle of women's esports live.
That's a celebration of skill, passion, and progress. Join us and be part of history celebrating our women in esports.
Yeah, honestly, being part of MWI last year in Riyadh was one of my favorite events for 2024. The crowd there is really great. The women of MLBB esports are so fun to talk to, so fun to get to know. They're always so happy to meet the new fans. So please catch MWI if you can in Riyadh.
Yeah, it's really going to be fun. So book it now. And these are basically the representatives of Lakas ng Pinas. They embody this term and show us why we are the home of the champions. From M4, M5, and M6, the 3 remaining teams in the playoffs have won all of those trophies.
It's been 3 years since the Philippines as a region has won the Mid-Season Cup. It's sort of a poetry to it that the World Championship winning rosters, or at least versions thereof, from the last 3 World Championships, are now at the top 3. It feels like we're seeing a potential, it's like a combine for the Philippines to see if, come on, we gotta make each other stronger. Yeah, only one of us can be champions here, but everything just so that the Philippines can get back on top of the mountain at the end of the Mid-Season Cup. Because, again, we've been winning World Championships, but the Mid-Season Cup is now equal in terms of illustriousness, and it's been a while since we've seen a PH team get that prize.
That's right. Although we have been pushing each other to the limit, I feel like, in this whole metagame, every single team in MPL Philippines seems like a possible contender for that cup. So at this point, I wouldn't put it past us. And EWC, you better be ready. And one of these teams definitely will be joining us in the battle for immortality as well. Because again, don't forget, the winner here will be joining the grand finals tomorrow in another best of 7. I mean, they already will book their ticket. Whoever wins here will be booking their ticket, so that'll be really fun.
Yeah. By the way, side selection update, Team Liquid Philippines has picked the blue side for this very crucial game number 4, wherein if they win this, they are going to the grand finals to face off against Onyx Philippines. One step closer to immortality.
Let's go, Joel.
Their rivals in the Clash of Titans. They will go to Riyadh for MSC and WC 2025. Blue side Liquid.
2025.
They have the Loyi, the Juicing, the Granger, the Glue to play around. And both teams have decided, let's change up the pace of the mid lane.
ចាប់ហើយធីម Falcon គ្មានស្អីវាយមួយគេចាប់ហើយ
This will change things up. Definitely.
Fan Falcon ធ្ងន់ណាស់
The Jushin for almost all of the clash.
ចាប់ហើយធីម Falcon គ្មានស្អី
I think it was only except one. It was in game number 1 where we didn't see the Jushin because it was also banned by TLPH when they were on the blue side. So we're turning back to their sides in game number 1.
Their
This is
side.
exactly how they were in game number 1.
Game number 1
Getting into it, we still have no global presence. Loyi and Chip basically just respect banned all season, all series long after that immense game.
Yeah, I think it's the Hayabusa that's gonna be open for this game.
ត្រាស់ទៅត្រាស់មកចាញ់តែគេ
Yeah, there's actually a chance we might see the Joy here, but the Kalea is also open. In game number 1, Fanny, Juice,
មិនមកគេវាយ4-1ម្ដងឆាប់
while Falcons back
Up top.
Kalea Joy. Again, we were talking about this at the end of game number 3, man. the mid lane focus. So Falcons are leading onto that. They've decided
Joy.
that Sanji is their biggest headache in this series so
Joy
far.
first flick
Liquid
here.
open up with a Joy. Kalea Badang, Kalea Granger open for
I wouldn't
Falcons.
be surprised if they also pick up their mid laner in this first free.
Nè tranh game này ấy là
Even more from
Snipe
that mid lane mage.
chọc bọt à.
So it's
Cho nên mà cuối làm ban bên cái lên MSC.
they consider the Kalea
Nè tranh mà
at
Snipe.
this point.
Snipe chơi mày.
So they have ways. I mean, the tidal strike into the Joy works really well, especially if you want to just break the momentum of a Joy trying to go in and looking for the stacks.
100% they get the Kalea. Whether or not they'll get the Granger or suddenly swerve and show up a Joy, an Eve. I don't think that'll happen though. Granger? And is it gonna be the? Yep, it is.
Okay, that's one way to break the tempo of the LPH. Remove that muscle memory of the Granger from Oheb. It's pretty smart.
So now, as you mentioned, there are so many mid lane picks which are already taken out. So might they want to consider picking up their mid lane here? Oh!
Ho Valentina, the hero that was on the hands of Sanji as the lone stallion, last man standing in Game 4 of the Grand Finals of MPL Philippines Season 13 against then Falcons AP friend. Can he pull off heroics again as they are potentially trying to block off a Lucas jungle pick on the side of Falcons?
Yeah, and I will never
Bento
forget
ben masal
Sanji
kali ya.
on the Valentina. One time in
On
the
the
regular season,
Valentina.
even stole away the death sonata.
Yeah.
Like, he's been doing all those tricks on the Valentina, and ultimately it does really block off one of the most, probably one of the best possible options for Team Falcons at this point.
I love it. Not to mention he also has access to idle. So beyond
Fredrin.
I wanted to say the Fredrin is the best option right now for Falcons. They could not go Suyo, that is 3 magic damage dealers. They couldn't go Lucas because there's a Valentina on the other side. They can't go anything like Alpha or whatnot. Fredrin has to be the base here for Falcons. Liquid also picking up this Valentina means they're thinking in the long run, they're thinking ahead of potentially blocking a Faramis pickup from Few. If Falcons decide to pick up Faramis in this draft, yeah, it's gonna be the timing of the whoever gets the better timing of their Nether Realm. That's gonna be the main trade here.
Yeah, I really want to at least compliment though crowd control, the massive amount of crowd control coming in from Falcons right now in terms of the energy eruption and the Tsunami Slam title strike. So I think they need a
Club
little
of
bit more
Titan
on that.
Push.
Hopefully they can
No,
find
okay.
because it'll take some time for Super Marco to get into shape with that great.
Yeah, and it's always been the fast rotations that have made a huge impact on the outcome of the early game between these two teams. But even in terms of that, the options look quite limited unless they're gonna opt for something along the lines of a Kimmy mid is there, although there's a Joy on the other side, so it doesn't look too well.
I think Falcons might even want to consider the Selena if they want to pick up a hero that necessarily that won't have an ultimate that can be stolen away by Sanji's Valentina, meaning that the energy eruption of the Fredrin is going to be the main target of Sanji instead. He can still use that for crowd control. I mean, he's on the M6 World Championship, but Super Fritz did that crazy play in the top lane as a Valentina cosplaying as a Fredrin. So I wouldn't be surprised if Selena is being considered here, but something in my gut tells me Faramis right now is the main debate for Falcons. Faramis or Selena?
Faramis is not also long, isn't it? Sorry, no, that's Selena rather.
Yeah, Selena.
Huh. Interesting.
Interesting.
So do they reveal it here? They go for the focus first. They're really saving Few's hero for last. I mean, he's one of the most flexible, or like one of the players with the deepest hero pool too. Team Liquid Philippines. We're looking at what role the Baksha will be put into.
I think you put that already, the role for JP. Baksha and Valentina joined together in the center of the map means the chances of Liquid Stampede happening are going to be so much higher since they're all magic. Magic scales relatively quicker as they are cooldown based. At the same time, you reduce the healing of the Kalea. And again, the Baksha being one of the main reasons why, or excuse me, one of the main counters to the Kalea as to why he's popped up.
What if they carry here or something?
Yeah, I'm okay with the carry.
Turisla.
Sanford, Turisla. Good call on the carry there.
Sao mà team
Great
liquid
job
bôi
by
lên.
Liquid. This is built for Stampede. They can end this quickly.
And this was I was saying yesterday, the Turisla against the Fredrin. Like it's these kinds of lineups where
Against
Turisla has an
Fredrin.
easy time just landing the penalty zone on his targets.
Right, it's also a bit more durable in terms of enduring the Tsunami Slam combo, just in case you get empty eruption. You can kind of disrupt the front three.
Did you still Selena here?
Let me checkmate. Can Few play Valir? With all the slow front to back, might be good. But you're giving Valentina a free Purify. Meaning Sanji can pick up Flicker instead.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
It's been a hot minute, Cecilion.
Wow.
Welcome back.
It's been a while. This guy has been snubbed as well.
Yeah.
Like for the entire playoffs, I feel.
Falcons has decided their fate here lies in the mid to the late game. This is them saying, yep, early to mid, it does not look good for us. But if they can hold on, then the Sicilian and Granger will be able to deal the damage that Falcons needs.
That's what we're gonna look for here in game number 5 rather. We are getting a pretty good lineup to kill here.
Caster trong ngồi đề đá đây Caster.
Got a solid lineup that can really shred through the focus, shred in.
Rồi nhau ngồi đề đây.
Really good to see us.
It's a good old Liquid Stampede. They can end this quick against the resiliency of the Falcons. Which one is stronger?
Let's find out as we load up into game number 5 here, TLPH versus Falcons. That's
The cavalry stomping towards immortality. One game away from the grand finals. Can the Falcons soar in just in time to stop the ascent? Welcome to game number 5. Leo at your service alongside Jose Ingan and bringing you the action. It's been a while since we've seen Sicilian. How do you feel with this core coming in the hands of the GOAT?
Yeah, it ensures that if ever they don't have a good start, if they can extend it towards the late game, they can rely on Few to clear out the waves, to clear out the push, and eventually have a comeback for Team Falcons. Super Marco early cast with the flicker out.
Yep, he already had to burn his flicker. Since Carl TZ's jungling pattern, he was able to go first towards the gold lane. But this is something you would expect from Team Liquid Philippines. It's just why you need double the mindfulness from Team
So qualify.
Oh, okay.
A flicker for a purify.
Yeah.
Cross map.
I feel like they'll be okay with that, especially heading into the first objective. Again, Team Liquid Philippines, the way they drafted too, it looks really well in terms of the mid-range capabilities. And Team Falcons, knowing that the Purify won't be available, it could be easier for them to call whoever they want to target in the next team fight.
So far, I'm still counting the moments that Few isn't in harm's way. Because every minute that passes by, that Falcons is still in the game, that Few is actually doing well, gets them closer to victory, gets them closer to equalizing the series.
Yeah, not to mention Super Marco, assuming he scales up, get the stacks in, even with his Sky Piercer, things would go well for them. But again, the problem still remains for Team Falcons. Even if they have a tanky Fredrin, if OHEM, the MVP, starts to be online, it could be hard for Team Falcons.
Wow. 4-man rotations immediately. They're starting the turtle.
Penalty zone coming in from Sanford here. Who's going to get the turtle? Still going to go in hands of Kyle Teasy. Now they want to extend their lead by taking down Sanford. Flap Teasy, Infernal Pursuit going to bring him down. Next target is JP as Owen picks up the kill.
2 free kills plus a major objective towards the Falcons. Carl Teasy struggling to get his orange.
Beautiful Dark Wave paired up with a Tsunami Slam. Carl Teasy.
Đã bom khỏi. Trắng chung.
Amazing start for Team Falcons.
Yep, Team Falcons were quick to decide on what to do. They decided to burst down the turtle. They had 4 members there who were early in terms of the setup, and Carl TZ wasn't even able to finish getting his orange buffs. He was already forced to provide assistance to Team Liquid Philippines. Again, we're losing out since they were able to already isolate Sanford. So this past few minutes, like that entire sequence prior to what we're seeing right now, they've been perfectly in favor of Team Falcons.
Yeah. There seemed to be no plan going into that first turtle. If there was, we didn't see any semblance of it.
Yeah, or it could be disrupted by the good initiation there for Team Falcons. And you guys mentioned that the more this game holds on, the better it is for Team Falcons, considering that Few is on the Sicilian. But what way to, make that power spike faster with a 3-0 start and a 1.8k gold lead.
This is greater than better, man. This is amazing because Falcons is staring down a 2k gold lead, and it seems like Liquid aren't even pressing down on their resources. Like, they're just folding. I don't know what's up with this non-aggressive approach suddenly.
Yeah, everything just falls into place for Team Falcons. The way they were able to force out the Purify for Sanji, and Sanji is someone you expect to be at the turtle fight. It's a completely different scenario if we're talking about how they forced out the Flicker from Super Marco, because you know what Super Marco does on the Granger when it comes to the early game. He's just all about farming. He's just all about getting the PPI rich guy.
So far, it seems to be a tandem approach to Team Liquid's
No,
comeback
all have
in
free
game
farm,
number
right?
5. They're sending these pairs of heroes to do things on the map. That's top lane, Oheb, and Sanji. And it seems like the call is just don't go for the turtle anymore. We already lost.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna look at it, at least for wait a minute, there's gonna be a Tsunami Slam, but it was
Boom.
Sanji, and Ogun counters out with his own Tsunami Slam as Kyle Steezy enters in for the end
Ui.
of disruption. Sanford jumps in for the
Nice.
zone. Ogun quite low, so he has to back off. Kyle Steezy trying to soak
Đại
up damage.
kèo
But
ra,
he's stunned out by
boom.
4 members. He was able to dash in, but Sanford with a final blow to bring off Kyle Steezy.
It's so similar to what happened earlier, except it's more successful this time. Carl TZ resuming the purple buff he had to let go of just to provide the damage for Team Liquid. Since you did mention it earlier, they're really investing much of their resources onto Oheb because that's where primarily the damage will come from. At most right now, it's from Carl. So he really has to juggle between balancing his farm and being able to follow up on his team.
He's doing everything again. Just go with things for Carl Ceasy, keeping TLPH in the game compared to the previous game wherein Team Falcons conceded all neutral objectives. The better part is for TLPH, they're at least doing something. You mentioned that they're sending out mini squads of 2s to try and go for the push and even go for trades. It's looking good still for TLPH.
A minute before another turtle spawns, upper quarter this time. JP gets caught with a Tsunami Slam.
Let's see if JP can
Đại
outspeed
JP
this
rồi.
chain CC.
Sky Pizza
To Super Marco.
10 stack á.
Speed things up and try and go for the top lane turret as Kyle TZ zones out Sanford.
That's top. You
Some
should be
stake.
spotted using the
Some
back
stake ở
back
Super
to
Marco.
shield Unity. Once they find you doing that,
Team Liquid
they
phải
just
lướt lướt mất.
cancel it, go for the commit, because there's no way for JV to escape those kinds of scenarios. He's only on the Revitalize, so he can be a potential easy target for Team Falcons when they're always grouped up together.
That's the hard pill to swallow is the Baksh has no out. He has an in, clearly. The Baksh Unite, the Revitalize, but no way out, so you have to be careful. So far, still approaching 3k ahead, about the same spot we saw Falcons last 2 or 3 minutes ago, and that translates to about 1,000 between Oheb and
True to
Marco.
that.
Carl Deasy looking to isolate flat, but he's too chunky.
Yeah, old teammates having a 1v1 down bottom as Kyle TZ works on this turtle. Now Team Falcons will be able to respond there. And it looked like TLPH again will concede this neutral objectives as Falcons secure the turtle.
They're letting it up. They also know that Carl TZ still has something to accomplish down bottom, and now as he wants to secure his purple buff, a team might break out.
There's no Reggie for Carl TZ here, so he's going for the kills instead. Sanford goes in with the penalty zone to zone out Super Marco. As JP trying to tank up the damage, but Sanford's the first man down. TLPH has to disperse, but Owen jumps in and feeds off another double kill to Super Marco.
It's looking like it's going
Đại
sideways
rồi đây.
as Carl DZ goes
Vô thế này.
down. Super Marco going with a triple.
Triple kill for Super Marco. Even expended the flicker to make sure he catches Carl TZ. And now that's going to be a 7-1 scoreboard for Team Falcons as they focus their attention
Xài
on
được
the
stake
lane.
rồi đấy, Super Marco.
Team Liquid, they tried to do so much just so Oheb could also get his early power spike. I mean, they handed over the energy shields. If it's just that, they provided the assistance that was necessary for him to somewhat manage the lane a bit better. But now, look at how they're the first to lose their tier 1 turrets. Look at how he's now 2k behind Super Marco with that 4-0 KDA.
Marco chasing down Liquid like they owe him money. Currently
Size of
at
stake
about
rừng.
400 stacks, 40
Size of stake.
Skypiercer stacks as well. It's
Sky
an
Pieces.
unbothered game for Super
400
Marco. Not to
stake.
mention for Few.
Yeah, he was having the time of his life. He's the late game insurance that they need, even if And they're not even sure if it's going to reach a late game with how things are going for Team Falcons. Owen also, almost all his setups are connecting and transitioning not just to kills but to objective takedown. That's why all first tier turrets, as you mentioned, are gone for TLPH.
Yep, they have so many ways to start things up, but they have so many unanswered problems. Now that, or if ever they do decide to engage in a fight, if JP decides to jump on someone, that's not gonna be few. There's no way it's gonna be few, not unless he puts himself in a dangerous position. It's always gonna be either Flap Kyle or Ogwin, and these are targets who can immediately go for the punish.
Not to mention Few has his Purify off of cooldown, so
game tôi pha không mà game.
some way somehow 4D or JP find him, it's a simple battle spell, ult, walk away. Free Lord here, going over to Falcons as top lane just gets stolen away by Liquid. It's the only thing they can do.
Yeah, at this point, TLPH is happy with that. They did overcommit. At least kill trades for that Lord take after Team Falcons got in. At this point, they were able to push down at least one turret up top.
Chop bật lại thì giờ cũng
for
chờ
Team Falcons.
Yep. They'll have to defend this upcoming Lord. They do have the resources, but Kyle Easy might go for a pickoff.
Energy eruption. Okay, Sanji jumps in with his stolen Tsunami Slam, but he had to pop his Purify. So again, no Purify for Sanji and a crucial defense for the Cavalry.
Liquid has the counter blessings. Number 1, Sanji survives. Number 2, they're keeping bottom lane tier 2. Number 3 is they're making good time here to defend the Lord. They'll have to sacrifice his tier 2 up top, holding defense in mid, but that's all in the face of inevitable defeat.
Whoa.
Falcons are slowly rolling up inside their base.
Yeah, interestingly enough though, I think this is something you would expect in a Joy Fredrin matchup. The gold seems to favor Carl Teasy nonetheless, but wait!
Owen jumps in and immediately they burst down Sanford. Just look at the damage from the whole squad of Team Falcons. He's quite low. Now Sanji desperately trying to defend that. Oheb had to pop his Purify there, but they do however be able to clear out the Lord.
Chân trong một ngày quá, kém mình chành. Boom.
And Flap Teasy jumps in and feeds off the kill again. Super Marco in exchange for Ogwin. And now Sanji as well as gone. Carl Teasy
substack quá đó, Sky Pizza.
Sẽ
tích đam Teasy nè.
again jumps in. He was able to dodge out the energy eruption and save out their mid lane turret.
They had to sacrifice so much. The way they were trying to hold on that top lane turret, but they had to give up JP, they had to give up Sanji, and there are just so many ways for Falcons to hold down any member of Team Liquid if they wanted to. So Few was just too free.
Flap Teasy, Winter Crown play mid-air to try and save himself as Kyle Teasy jumps in again and catches Sanford. Super Marco the bullets. JP quite low, that's enough, but Super Marco stops there. That was just a warning shot.
Here's the painful truth. Liquid aren't even halfway ready to pick a fight with Falcons. You saw how Oheb was just struggling to stay in that fight throughout the pinwheel, throughout the ult, and nothing. Falcons just kept walking up.
It's another conceal from Ogwen too. He doesn't have the flicker, but that's already enough. So they could zone away the members of Team Liquid and take down this mid lane turret. So whatever they were trying to defend and hold on to, one by one, they're slowly disappearing from their eyes.
8K. Now Falcons looking at an 8K gold lead with the Lord spawning in the upper quarter. I don't know. All right, we've seen crazier things happen in the playoffs, but Liquid, it would be wise not to try and contest.
Yeah. I mean, crazy things happen, especially if Sanji has his hands on the Louis, but in this case he has a Valentina that most of the time can only get the Tsunami Slam. Now JP again being the main target of Team Falcons already getting the Tsunami Slam on
Sky Grand champion down over.
Sanford from the back. They might be able to catch that Few, but Super Marco picks up a double. A kill on the Few.
Super Marco. Oheb bay rồi.
A double for the MVP.
Oheb bay all rồi. Lấy sai nó lên giảm đau đau mình mà Oheb bính. Bay tôn nó môi mà bọn bay tôn môi. Lên Pearl game. Chứ sọc cái lỡ trái update Lover break cut final lỡ cái lên đông Pearl game. Grand final cái lên Pearl game. Mai với tiếp chẳng đấy. Tại kia tranh mau muốn nó dừng mau cõi kia đây. Anh đi cái tay mau muốn. Cảm muốn lower break cut thì sẽ lên cho bạn rồi. nó lên pơ kìa.
And that's also
Đôi final rồi.
including Carl TZ,
Lên
who
mà
can just
offside
dash
off.
through everyone and go to whoever he wants to target.
Okay, maybe 5 minutes ago they weren't halfway. Now they're approaching that point. Oheb hurts. Lord. Now at about a fourth of its health, a fifth, and it gets a soft reset. Kyle TZ lets it go.
Let's see if TLPH can put out a miracle here up against Team Falcons. They were able to dwindle down the lead of Team Falcons. Sanji quite low, so he has to back off. They're bursting down the Lord. TLPH concedes.
Combo pull rồi.
They can't risk it. Sanji was too low. And if Team Falcons did force out a team fight, which is possible that they do, it's likely that they do, since they already took note of how Sanji was already poked down, that it could have been worse for Team Liquid. They barely have any turrets remaining in their base. And now all they have to do is hold on to their defense capabilities.
Literally just one turret, bottom lane. Liquid has to use that turret, the inhibitor, to buy time and fight, because again, the only real way I see Liquid coming back from this and even surviving to defend is by turning on Falcon. So they're gonna need to use that turret to try and get extra firepower from the extra damage, because
There.
chunky lineup coming
Chật
in.
break mà.
Is there enough time for
Lý này.
TLPH to reach that time?
Oh.
A conceal for both of these teams as the Lord sieges in to the middle lane. Owen waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. The Sanguine Claws are also connecting. Kyle TZ jumps in. No more inhibited turrets for TLPH.
They buy time, they use that turret like a meat shield.
We're just being reminded of how terrifying a Granger Sicilian combo is. Now Team Liquid Philippines are clearly struggling to deal with it.
Owen jumps in. There comes the Tsunami Slam. They're trying to burst down JP alongside Sanford. Calls TZ from the back. He catches
Đánh
through and
chua
brings
đấy.
him down. Winter Crown plays from Team Falcons.
Cho khá.
But again,
Cái khác bay Vĩnh. Ô hai cục chơi mai đó. Đó tao tới. Cho mày Super Marco mày cái bay mà ngồi rồi.
They survive this series.
Not so
D'accord.
fast. Match point ain't nothing. The game continues. Falcons score 3-2.
Ngọt à. Ê, cả chọp đi à.
Oh, at first, this cannot end with a sweep. And now it also cannot end in just 4 or 5 games.
This is why
Pram
they
game,
call it
pabui game,
Titans
man.
MLBB. Everyone looks up to Liquid and the Falcons. Redmond Rockhart, break it down.
That was just us all.
Oh my goodness! So that's 2 dominant wins for Falcons in
Mình
this
form
series,
đa.
and
Chop á.
yeah, a
Mình khai là chop
throwback
đấy
to
kìa.
when they won a world championship with the Frederick. Well, you know, there was something about the lineup of Falcons that I really thought that they would lose the early to mid.
Cối
but
trắng
they
pi
did
máu
one
này.
thing
Thế cối
so
pi
well
máu giấy
early
nữa.
on. There was a time where Few was considered one of the best
Tao bị
carry
break máu.
players in the game. So what they did was, let's funnel all our rotations and early game resources to the Sicilian. Control the center of the map with Few, get his stacks and farm up, so that by the time Super Marco gets his items and is farmed up, the damage is equal. Both the Sicilian and the Granger together hit the apex of their damage at the same time in this game.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that.
Vậy
in this
muốn
game
mình
where
chọc
we saw
đằng
when
thế
he
nhé.
died,
Bật
he
môn
actually-
vừa anh bật môn
the
rồi.
gameplay Falcons were slowed
Ui,
down near the
ở lính bị luôn đấy.
The moment you went back, and it was game time again.
Yep.
But Super Marco would never be able to achieve this. Again, Brandon brought it up. Sicilian and Granger on the same team past 10 minutes. It's just a scary force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and Falcons, it seems like they had a game plan. All right, so all of us are going to be putting Few in a comfortable spot to farm up. Let's get trades in mid. Okay, at the same time, Super Marco, double lane when you can. If you can't, wait for us. We're going to go up to your lane and make sure that you can get some farm and get some advantage over Oheb. So Falcons were clear. They played around the idea of 2 cores, not just try to funnel into one, but everything for Few and Super Marco. All the rotations to the center of the map, the aggressive positioning of Kyle and Flap TZ, and Ogwen being so gung-ho with pulling the trigger with his Tsunami Slam, all of that so that Few can get stacks, and all of that so that Super Marco has all the space in the world.
Yeah, and Super Marco just had a fun time on this Granger. You could see
Oh,
the
yeah.
struggle of Oheb on that carry. I mean, still pretty good, but
Suspect of prank gaming.
overwhelmed by bodies here. That's what Falcons did, so they can
À, Lý Nghị
appreciate
ơi.
what the carry was doing in a lot of these fights.
Vậy
Not
thằng
saying
Phi
it's
Prức
really,
mà lại
it's
tao
still
mong
a
pờ.
pretty good pick. You could see that he was struggling to pick targets with the jumping phobias,
Thằng Phi mong mà mong đọc
with
thì
so scary around the map. That was just not
Đâu
as
mong
easy at the
pờ mà.
time to carry, and that
Ồ,
was
4 màu á.
Marco.
Ờ, Lý nè.
Winter crown right there at the end, just in time. He was the one who got tsunami slammed by Saji, but the fact that he was able to pop off the winter crown, survive the onslaught of that damage, meant that he could dash back, deal the damage that they needed to seal off the victory. Falcons had a far sturdier lineup. The Fredrin third pick was perfect. I just did not foresee the adjustment in rotation that they were going to do in the early game, so that instead of waiting for mid to late, they're the ones who controlled early.
Yeah, mid to late was just phenomenal for the Sicilian and the Granger. Fully stacked up and ready to go. Plus the Micro and Super Marco. That's just such a good combo. He's 14-1, and few didn't get any kills, but you bet your butt he really got a lot of those assists.
Yeah, and you saw that for the side of Team Liquid Philippines this time though, that Carl TZ was still, as Brigida pointed out, was able to farm up. And we saw in the main sequence where in both Few and Super Marco went down, it was the efforts of Carl TZ and even Oheb being able to find a good angle of entry into the fight from the wings to be able to take down the back line. They were still lacking something. JP and Sanford didn't survive long enough. Flap TZ and Kyle TZ always survived long enough. They were the main walls of this lineup that centered around the pickoffs of the Kalea, while it was the Phobius and the Fredrin together that was holding down the front.
I really don't envy Sanford in this game, by the way. He died so many times that early.
Yeah.
And there was just no hesitation from Owen to actually pick off that guy, that big beefy guy in front. Usually you'd want to avoid it. If you're a Kalea, you want to go ahead and hurry hero lock. But no, whoever's on front got taken out so easily. Super Marco, good trust on your DPS.
Yeah, and it really looked like Super Marco also just won the laning phase straight up against Oheb. Always pushing Oheb back into the lane, and even though Oheb was still able to keep up in the farm and kept things close, Team Liquid Philippines eventually equalized their rotation so that Oheb would get more farm as well. Again, the main point here, the Sicilian and the Granger just hit their power backs at the exact same time.
Yeah. Hitting it 977 GPM, not quite
Cho bài bay đi, cho bài bay.
but that is scary for a